and government capitation for certificate and diploma students in primary and secondary school teachers' colleges. This is a statement with regards to the lack of higher education loans board funding and government capitation for certificate and diploma students in primary and secondary schools teachers' colleges. These are statements, these are concerns that the honorable members, that is Honorable Member from Machakos County and the Honorable Member from Taita Taveta, will be seeking statements from the relevant standing committees. Pursuant to the House Standing Order number 56, paragraph 1, subparagraph B, this is with regards to the chairperson of standing committees making statements relating to their activities. The chairperson standing committee on agriculture, livestock, fisheries will be making that statement for the period April to August 2024. Our Speaker of the Senate, Honorable Amason Jeffa Kingi, is inside the chambers. Allow me to hand you over to this live broadcast brought to you by PBU in partnership with KBC. Good afternoon.
Wewe Mwenyezi Mungu, tukusihi tutazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Tutakuomba utuwajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Pursuant to the House Standing Order number 39 and 40, with regards to the quorum of the Senate, at the commencement of a sitting, that the quorum of the Senate shall be 15 senators. And if there is no quorum present when the chair is taken, as we have seen, the Speaker has already taken the chair, the prayer has already been said. But if the quorum is not present, then the bell will be on for 10 minutes. As you can see, senators are making their way into the chambers. That is following that provision in the standing orders that once the prayer has been said and the chair taken, if the quorum is not present, then there will be that allowance for the members to be able to make their way to the chambers for the House to attain that required quorum for the business over the House to commence, or for the business that is set to be transacted, then to be transacted pursuant to the House Standing Order. So as the quorum bell is on, we will be seeing members of the Senate making their way into the chambers. And once that quorum is achieved, then the Speaker will call the House to order for the business to continue. Back to what the senators will be transacting this afternoon is that pursuant to the House Standing Order 56, paragraph 1, subparagraph B, this is with regards to chairpersons of standing committee making statements relating to the activities, is that the chairperson standing committee on agriculture, livestock and fisheries will make a statement relating to the activities of the committee. That is Honorable Dan Manzo, walking into the chambers. The chairperson standing committee on agriculture, livestock and fisheries will be making a statement relating to the activities of the committee for the period April to August the year 2024. The chairperson standing committee on devolution and intergovernmental relations also will be making a statement relating to the activities of the committee for the period April to August 2024, and also the Chairperson Standing Committee on Education will be making a statement relating to activities of the committee for the period April to August the year 2024.
Deputy Party Leader for ODM, please. Senator Kavindu, take your seat, please. We do have quorum now, so we may proceed with today's proceedings. Clerk, call the first order, please.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
The Senate Majority Leader. Senator Tabitha, you're a member of SBC. You may proceed to table the papers.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate this day of 24th. Reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the following year ended 30th June 2024. Elbagon Level 4 Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Nakuru. Malindi Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kilifi. Bampa Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Kilifi. Mariakani Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Kilifi. Jibana Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Kilifi. And Kilifi County Referral Hospital, still County Government of Kilifi. Kabatonjo Level 4, County Government of Baringo. Mogotio Sub-County Level 4, County Government of Baringo. Kandiege Level 4 Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay. Kendu Bay Sub-County Hospital, County Government of Homa Bay. Kisenge Level 4, Ogongo Level 4 Hospital, Cheptais Level 4, Sirisia Sub-County Level 4 in Bungoma, Bumula Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Kimilili Sub-County Level 4, Mukuyuni Sub-County Level 4 Hospital, Tawa Sub-County Level 4 Hospital in Makueni County, Machakos Level 4 in Machakos County, Kathiani Level 4 Hospital in Machakos County, Uyawi Sub-County Level 4 in Siaya County, Madiani Sub-County Level 4 in Siaya County, Bondo Level 4 Hospital in Siaya County, Ukwala Sub-County Level 4 in Siaya County, Kapenguria County Level 5 Hospital in West Pokot County, Chapereria Sub-County Level 4 in West Pokot County, Kachebliba Sub-County Level 4 in West Pokot County, Sigor Sub-County Level 4 in West Pokot, Lopidiang Level 4 in Turkana County, Lokitang Sub-County Level 4 in Turkana County, Lodwar County Referral Hospital in Turkana County. I beg to lay, Mr. Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Statements pursuant to Standing Order 53-1. Honorable Senator Agnes Kavindu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations regarding stalled projects in Machakos County. In the statement, the committee should, 1, state the total number of all stalled projects across Machakos County, including their locations and the estimated costs of each. 2, provide a timeline on on when the county government intends to complete stalled projects under its charge, and 3, states the total funds allocated for the construction of the airstrip in Machakos County, and provide an update on the current status of the construction works. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Senator Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, MP, Senator Machakos County.
Honorable Senator Maruma, Taita Taveta.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to request for this statement on education loans to students in teachers' colleges. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the lack of Higher Education Loans Board funding and government capitation for certificate and diploma students in primary and secondary school teachers' colleges. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain why HELP does not provide loans to students pursuing primary and secondary school teaching courses. 2, state the level of classification for primary and secondary school teachers' colleges in comparison to universities, tertiary and vocational education and training, and the Kenya Medical Training Colleges institutions which benefit from HELP and government capitation. And 3, state when these teachers' college students will start benefiting from HELP and government funding similar to students in other higher learning institutions. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, before we move to the statement pursuant to Standing Order 56-1, allow me to make the following communication. Senator Kavindu, and you may have your seat, Senator Meth. I would like to acknowledge the presence, Senator Fuller. Have your seat. I would like to acknowledge the presence in the Speaker's Gallery this afternoon, 7 young men and women who are in the Senate undertaking an internship program. The objective of the program is to provide young people with first-hand experience in the legislative process and to expose them to the intricate world of public policy and public service. Honorable Senators, in our usual tradition of receiving and welcoming visitors to Parliament, I extend a warm welcome to them, and on behalf of the Senate and my own behalf, wish them a fruitful time for learning. I will allow the Majority Leader under 1 minute to extend a word of welcome.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I join you on behalf of our colleagues to appreciate the visit by the interns of the Parliamentary Service Commission who are here from the various fields on study assignment in the institution, and therefore I think today is one of those days where they visit the chamber and see how we operate here. Parliament is a premium employer, Mr. Speaker. I say that very proudly, knowing the quality of work that our staffers do and the kind of experience that these young people are going to get. Therefore, my simple advice to them is to make the best of their time in this institution and learn from the great members of staff that work in this institution. I thank you and welcome to the students.
Statement pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B, Honorable Senator James Murango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56-1B of the Senate Standing Orders to make a statement relating to activities of the Standing Committee of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries during the second part of the third session covering the period between April to August 2024. During the period under review, the committee held a total of 19 sittings, during which it considered 1 legislative agenda, 3 bills, 6 statements, and 2 public petitions, and 1 inquiry. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the reporting period, Pursuant to Standing Order 131-1, the committee considered the legislative proposal, the Agriculture Produce Minimum Guarantee Returns Bill 2024. The bill seeks to provide farmers with guaranteed minimum returns for their produce, thus ensuring price stability in the agriculture sector. The committee considered one, the Nuts and Oil Crops Bill 2023, Senate Bills number 47 of 2024, and received submissions from the Council of Governors, Nature Kenya, and the Law Society of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries has established a practice of conducting public participation in counties. The committee believes in meeting the farmers in the counties. It had planned to conduct public participation in Kilifi, Kwale, Lamu, Bungoma, Busia, Nyeri, and Kirinyaga counties. The committee commenced public participation in Kwale County. However, due to the budgetary constraints, the committee is here to conclude public participation in the remaining counties. These budget constraints have caused significant difficulties in processing the business of the committee. Agriculture is a devolved function, and the bills before this committee concern the lives of ordinary Kenyans. When the committee considered the Mung Beans Bill, the committee met stakeholders in Kitui County in Saikuru. On Sugar Bill, National Assembly Bills number 34 of 2022, the committee met the farmers in Kakamega, Bungoma, and Busia counties. The committee this morning resolved to suspend business until it's properly facilitated to execute its mandate. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee participated in the workshop on the World Bank funded projects in counties organized by the State Department of Agriculture in June 2024. These engagements are vital to ensuring that senators remain informed and engaged in the development of policies affecting the agriculture sector and projects being implemented in counties. Mr. Speaker, sir, during the period under review, the committee considered a total of 17 statements. These statements address critical areas such as the use of harmful pesticides, delayed payment to dairy farmers, wheat seed shortages, crop insurance schemes, the postponement of election for the Kenya Tea Development Agency, KTD directors, the planned importation of sugar, vaccine production at the Kenya Veterinary Institute Production Institute, and the distribution of subsidized fertilizers. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee reviewed two petitions, one concerning the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission ESCC draft investigation into West Kano irrigation scheme, and other regarding the catastrophic maize disease that has affected farmers in Bomet County for the past 12 years. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to thank your office and the Office of the Clerk of the Senate for the continuous support accorded to the committee in executing its mandate. Lastly, I also wish to thank the members of the committee for their diligence and contribution during the committee activities. Attached herein is the status of the pending legislative business. Signed, James Kamau Morango, Chairperson, Study Committee of Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senator Abbas, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Devolution.
Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 561B to make a statement on the activities of the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations for the period commencing April to August 2024. Honorable Speaker, during the reporting period, the committee held 32 sittings in which it considered various activities pertaining to mandates. As a snapshot, the committee transacted the following legislative business. A, the committee considered the following two bills, which it is about to conclude and table the respective report before the House. One, the County Oversight and Accountability Bill, Senate Bill number 3 of 2024, and the Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 12 of 2024. B, the committee processed 5 statements which were sought from the committee of the 5 statements the committee considered and concluded. 2, leaving 3 statements pending before the committee. C, the committee jointly with the Standing Committee of Justice and Legal Affairs and Human Rights is considering the petition on restraining county government
Honorable Senators, may the Chair
county government from hiring law firms for legal representation in court cases. The 2 committees have jointly held meetings with various stakeholders and are looking forward to conclude the matter and table a report in this House. D, to look into the performance of the counties on implementation of the budget, the committee held a consultative retreat with various stakeholders and deliberated on the issues arising from county budget implementation review for the first half of 2023-24 by the Controller of Budget. The committee has continued robustly to engage with the concerned stakeholders to address the key issues emerging in the report. Honorable Speaker, the committee is currently conducting an inquiry into the matter of county government operating several commercial banks, accounts contrary to Regulation 82(1), B of the Public Finance Management, County Government Regulation 2015. In consideration of the matter, the committee has met with 7 county governments and deliberated on the matter. The committee is planning to hold a joint retreat with the Council of Governors, Office of the Controller of Budget, and the Auditor General to chart the course of addressing the issues. The committee is currently also considering a legislative proposal on amending the County Government Act 2012 to provide definite roles of the Office of the Deputy Governors in order to clarify and streamline the responsibility of the said office. G, to foster a harmonious working relationship with the county government, the committee is currently mediating a long-standing dispute between the county governor of Siaya and his deputy to ensure the smooth running of the county affairs. H, to assess the effectiveness of the law concerning the management of cities, urban areas, the committee is conducting a post-legislative scrutiny of the Urban Areas Cities Act of 2011 with the objective of proposing amendment to the framework of the management and governance of cities and urban areas. Honorable Speaker, the committee in future plans to conduct an inquiry into national government parastatals that are still performing devolved functions. From and 2, look into the issues raised by the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary on the Auditor General's report on the county government of the financial year 2022-23. The summary report by the Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary identifies several cross-cutting issues that require interventions by the Senate. 3, assess the status of the valuation of assets and liabilities by the Intergovernmental Relations in Technical Committees, IGRTC. Conduct visits to various counties to assess the general state of devolution performance. Lastly, I wish to appreciate the Office of the Speaker and the Senate leadership and the Office of the Clerk of the Senate for the steadfast and support they have accorded the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Chairperson, Standing Committee on Education, Senator Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 56(1)B to make a statement relating to the activities of the Standing Committee on Education for the second quarter of the 3rd session covering the period between April to August 2024. Mr. Speaker, during the period under review, the committee held 17 sittings, during which it considered 22 statements, 2 petitions, and conducted 2 inquiries. The committee also undertook 1 county oversight and networking engagement in Machakos County to acquaint itself with the implementation status of the Technical and Vocational Education and Training TVET and Early Childhood Development Education ECDE policies. Attached to this statement is a schedule of the legislative business considered by the committee. Mr. Speaker, sir, in the reporting period, the committee held a consultative meeting with the Ministry of Education, the Council of Governors, and the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee, IGRTC, to deliberate on the plight of ECDE teachers, the implementation of the ECDE and TVET policies in counties, emerging issues in devolution, transfer of functions, and intergovernmental relations. In this period, the committee considered 2 petitions concerning the discrimination in the paying of hardship allowance to teachers in Taita Taveta and Kilifi counties. Whereas the committee has endeavored to finalize the consideration of 3 petitions, the committee regrets the delays in concluding the petitions, which has been occasioned by the unavailability of sufficient information and responses from the executive, frequent requests for postponement of meetings by the stakeholders, and quorum hitches. Mr. Speaker, sir, during consideration of the statements, the committee observed that there is an increasing number of statements pending before it and resolved to bundle statements relating to similar thematic areas and invite the concerned agencies to committee meetings for consideration. Consequently, the committee is scheduled to meet the Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Education, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Teacher Service Commission to deliberate on several pending statements related to their specific mandates. Consequently, during the quarter, the committee will continue engaging and following up on the implementation status of the policies on the competency-based curriculum CBC, the infrastructural development and congestion of learning institutions, the government's commitment towards employment of junior secondary schools, JSS teachers, the university funding model, and the preparedness in transition for learners from junior secondary school to senior secondary school. The committee is also scheduled to continue engaging the Council of Governors to deliberate on the implementation of the scheme of service for ECDE teachers and the budgetary allocations and expenditure of counties in relation to the devolved function under the education sector. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to thank your office and the office of the Clerk of the Senate for the continuous support accorded to the committee in its work in executing its mandate. Lastly, I also wish to thank the members of the committee for their diligence and contributions during the committee activities. I thank you. Signed, Senator Junyoto, Chairperson, Standing Committee on Education. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, I will allow comments on the statement sought together with the statements by the 3 chairpersons. We are going to do that exercise in the next 15 minutes, within the next 15 minutes. Senator Murango James. Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a brief comment on the request of statement by Senator Kavindu on stalled projects in the counties. Mr. Speaker, it is not just Machakos, but there are many, many stalled projects in many, many counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this originates from the fact that counties have not received money for quite a while. And also, Mr. Speaker, in this House, we have a proposal even to reduce the funding of the counties, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, we stand for devolution. Devolution is very important. At all material time, Mr. Speaker, the national government is the collector of taxes. So wherever there is a shortfall of revenue, it should not affect counties, but should affect the national government because it has many sources of monies as compared to the counties, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, there are quite a number of stalled projects, either belonging to the counties and also belonging to the national government. And it is important to complete projects which are pending. The more they delay, the more expensive they become. The contractors are on the ground, and this is also associated with the pending bills. The more you have debts, the more it becomes difficult to develop and even to pool the resources we have together to be able to develop the counties much better. Mr. Speaker, I support, and I want to say that there must be a concerted effort within the county governments and within the national governments to make sure that all stalled projects, Mr. Speaker, including Thwake Dam, are revived and can be completed so that we don't incur more expenses with the county. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mutinda Tabit.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to support the statement by Senator Machakos, Senator Kavindu, in regards to the issue of all the pending and stalled projects in Machakos County. Mr. Speaker, you realize the issues that have been there so much in regards to the pending bills issues. Some of them are being brought by the issues of projects that have stalled. Money has already been spent. Part of the certificates have been paid. But if the project is also not complete, it becomes a waste. It's not valuable to the people, not only of Machakos, but it cuts across the 47 counties. These are some of the issues that we are coming across in our different committees. And it's being brought about by the political class issues, whereby if a new government comes in place, then they decide not to complete the previous project because the notion is then that project is from the previous governor. But that affects the local people. They are not able to benefit from these particular projects because of the issues and the political issues that run across the different counties. It will be prudent, not only Machakos, if this committee can be able to interrogate all the 47 counties, which projects are pending, why are they pending, so that the governors can be able to appear and show cause as to why they are not prioritizing the projects that have been there all this particular time. Just touching on education matters, Mr. Speaker, in regards to Senator Mwaruma's statements, we have now the issues of help from primary, as he puts it, but I thought primary education is currently free. We should be actually focusing from education from the baby class level to the higher education level of the university, whereby education is totally free in this country. I would want to entertain the discussion of that all monies pertaining to bursaries issues from the county level, the ones that have also been there from the CDF, Executive, Ministry of Education, can all be bundled to ensure that they offer education from the childhood level to the highest level of education, university level, at a free education, maximally to all our students in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Wambua.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will make a comment on two statements. One, the statement by Senator Kavindu, and the statement by Senator Morango. Mr. Speaker, the matter of stalled projects in Machakos is a matter that is a reality in every county in this country. A way must be found, Mr. Speaker, to fast-track the implementation of projects, the completion of projects that have already been initiated in all the counties, so that we avoid this case of white elephants all over. On the statement by Senator Morango, Mr. Speaker, on the work of the Agriculture Committee. Mr. Speaker, that statement is a statement that should really concern every senator in the Senate. That a committee now has made a resolution to suspend operations because they are not properly facilitated to carry out their functions. The Speaker, it should be remembered that though in that statement that he has issued, he makes mention of the Mang Beans bill as having been subjected to public participation in Sikuru. The truth of the matter, Mr. Speaker, and for the record, is that public participation on the Mang Beans bill took place in Sikuru, in Mutomo, in Ngomeni, and in Kiusiani. It took place in 4 wards in 3 constituencies. And yet now there are some members of the Speaker in the National Assembly who are mobilizing to defeat the bill on account of it having not been subjected to public participation. The Speaker, the matter of public participation on bills is an important matter, and it's a matter that requires that committees be properly facilitated to carry out both public participation and stakeholder engagement on their bills. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Wafula.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa tu kuchangia hoja.
Just a minute, Senator Wafula. Majority Leader, you know you cannot raise a point of order when there is no senator unless there's an intervention you would wish to. What is your intervention? Certainly not a point of order.
Yeah, just an intervention, Mr. Speaker. I wanted to bring it to your attention that we have the requisite delegations in the House needed to take a vote. Therefore, I'm kindly requesting if we could pause the comments so that we conclude on the voting. Mr. Speaker, if you look at the order paper, since we came back from recess, 2 weeks now, this is the third week, Mr. Speaker, we have not been able to take a vote for lack of delegations. This is such a serious matter. I want to plead for the kind indulgence of both the Speaker and the members in the House that given that we have the requisite number of delegations, Mr. Speaker, kindly permit us. Then afterwards, my colleague Senator Wakoli can resume the floor and make the comment. My humble plea.
Clerk, can you indeed confirm that we have the requisite number of delegates before I give direction on this matter? Now, honorable senators, order, honorable senators. We will move to prosecute order number 8 all the way to 16. And thereafter, we'll come back to comments on the statements. So, clerk, proceed to call the orders, please.
Order number 8, motion. Report of the Select Committee on County Public Accounts on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of West Pokot County Assembly for the financial year 2018-2019 and reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Isiolo, Kiambu, Kitui, Marsabit, Narok, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, and Murang'a County Assemblies for the financial year 2019-2020. Division.
Sergeant at Times, kindly ring the division bell for 5 minutes.
That is the division bell currently on. This follows the confirmation by the House by the clerk that the House has the right number of members to go into division. Now that has been brought by the order in today's business. There are two motions, that members are at this stage, or other motions that are at the stage of division that has to be voted on. One of the motion is the one that has been read by the clerk, the motion on the report of the Select Committee on County Public Accounts on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of West Pokot County Assembly for the financial year 2018-2019 and reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Isiolo, Kiambu, Kitui, Marsabit, Narok, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot and Murang'a County Assemblies for the financial year 2019-2020. Now this debate on this motion was concluded on the 7th of August, the year 2024. And today's business was to resume debate on this motion, and the business that was to be transacted was division. That is one of the motions that is set to go into division. The second motion that the members will be going into division on today or this afternoon is a motion on the report of Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Senate nominees on behalf of the county governments to the position of member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Also, this is a motion whose debate was concluded on the 17th of September, the year 2024. This was in Tuesday afternoon sitting, and the business remaining on this particular motion was to go into division. There are about 8 bills or 7 bills that are also slated to go into division this afternoon. There are bills that are at their second reading stage, and their business for this afternoon was to go into division. And you realize that when the members are to consider such business at the division stage, then there has to be a requisite number of members to be able to take those votes. And this is what the majority leader was referring to as a delegation, that each senator from the 47 counties will be taking a vote on this bill, that whether the bill be read for the second term. Remember, as I had indicated earlier, is that all these bills that are lined up for consideration at the division stage are bills that are at their second reading stage, and by them being voted on for them to be read for the second time, then that will pave way for them to go into the next stage. So those are 8 bills as indicated. They are bills that have not managed to go into the division stage in the House, of course, due to lack of the requisite quorum at the division stage. But the majority leader stood on a point of order to indicate to the Speaker that the House has the right number for those businesses to be transacted and to be concluded on, for them to be able to continue into the next stage. So that is the division bill. The first motion that they will be coming to vote on is on this particular report. Report that was laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, 7th of March, the year 2024. This is a report by the chairperson, County Public Accounts Committee, and it is with regards to the Auditor General's report of financial statements of West Pokot County Assembly, and for the that is for the financial year 2018-2019, and the Auditor General's reports on the financial statements of Isiolo, Kiambu, Kitui, Marsabit, Narok, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, and Murang'a County. Once that bill is done, then the members will be taking a vote with the committee indicating that the Senate adopt the report. Allow me to hand you over. Well, that there is an addition of 5 more minutes into the division bill. Remember, this is a division on 2 motions that the members are set to transact or to consider in today's in today's afternoon sitting, and these are motions and bills that need to be voted on by the delegates. By delegates, we mean the senators who are representing the 47 counties. And this is after the majority leader indicated that the House has the required number of members in the chambers that would make it easy for the House to dispense with the motions and the bills that are at the division stage but have failed to pull through due to lack of quorum. This is pursuant to the House Standing Order number 83 on voting and divisions. With regards to county delegation, paragraph 1 indicates that on election, all senators who are registered as voters in a particular county shall collectively constitute a single delegation for purposes of paragraph 2, and the senator elected under articles of the Constitution shall be the head of the delegation. That's what I had indicated earlier, that the delegation or the delegates here, the standing orders mean that those are senators representing the various 47 counties that we have who were elected as per the Constitution. Paragraph 2 indicates, except as otherwise provided in the Constitution in any matter in the Senate affecting counties, each county delegation shall have one vote to be cast on behalf of the county by the head of the county delegation, or in the absence of the head of the delegation, by another member of the delegation designated by the head of the delegation. The person who votes on behalf of a delegation shall determine whether or not to vote in support of or against the matter after consulting the other members of the delegation. So in this case, they will be taking a vote on the bills. Remember, it is with regards to the bills being read for the second time. The vote will be indicating that the bills now be read for the second time for them to move to the next stage. And on the motions is that the senators, or rather the Senate, adopts those reports. The second motion that is lined up for consideration at the division stage is the motion with regards to a report by the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget, where the committee indicates that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Senate nominees on behalf of the county governments to the position of member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission that was laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. And also consideration of the, or rather pursuant to the articles of the Constitution that the members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission of the, with regards to the Act of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, recommend Ms. Lynette Washiali Muganda and Mr. Mohammed Aden Abdi to the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning for transmission to the Excellency, His Excellency the President, for consideration for appointment to the position of member of Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Now, debate on this motion, as I had indicated earlier, was concluded on the Tuesday, 17th of September, the year 2024, and today's business is for this motion to go into division for the members to vote on whether that particular motion or that particular recommendation by the committee for the Senate to adopt its report will be accepted through that particular vote. So those two motions will be going into division, of course, following the House having its members, and then the 8 bills that are at its second reading stage or at their second reading stage, they will be voted to be read for the second time for them to be able to proceed to the next stage. So if you're just joining us, is that currently is a division bell. This is with regards to the business that has been pending before the House due to lack of quorum for division. And now that the House has the numbers for the members to continue with the business, then the business that was being transacted has been put on hold for the House to dispense with these businesses that are at the division stage. Earlier on, remember, before this particular division bell, members were reacting to a number of statements, 2 statements that had been made before the floor of the House by the Honorable Senator for Machakos, Honorable Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, as well as the Honorable Senator for Taita Taveta County, Honorable Jonas Mwaruma, and members had been given 15 minutes by the Speaker to react to these two statements. The statements by the Honorable Agnes Kavindu Mudhama was with regards to stalled projects across Machakos County, and she was seeking a statement from the Standing Committee on Devolution and Intergovernmental Relations. And the statement or the concern by the Honorable Senator for Taita Taveta was with regards to lack of higher education loans board funding and government capitation for certificate and diploma students in primary and secondary school teachers, colleges. Allow me to hand you over now back.
Order, honorable senators. Sergeant at Arms, you may now proceed to close the doors and draw the bar. Now, honorable senators, voting shall be done electronically, and therefore I'll proceed to put the question on order number 8. That the Senate adopt the report of the Select Committee on County Public Accounts on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements of West Pokot County Assembly for the financial year 2018-2019, and reports of the Auditor General on the financial statements of Isiolo, Kiambu, Kitui, Marsabit, Narok, Nyamira, Trans Nzoia, West Pokot, and Murang'a County Assemblies for the financial year 2019-2020, laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, the 7th of March, 2024. Now, before you vote, just log out, honorable senators. And then, Sergeant at Arms, just walk around the chamber and pull away an unattended card that is still stuck in the delegate unit. Sergeant at Arms, if you're done, you may signal. Senator Boni, you may now log in and proceed to vote. Senator Beatrice Ogola, proceed to the dispatch. Order, Senator Seki. Kindly take your seat. Honorable Senators, the result of the division is as follows. Ayes at 27 votes, nays 0, abstention 0. So the ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 9, motion, report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Senate nominees on behalf of county governments to the position of member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, Division.
Honorable Senators, I'll proceed to put the question that the Senate adopt the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Senate nominees on behalf of the county governments to the position of member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission laid on the table of the Senate on Tuesday, the 23rd of July, 2024, and further pursuant to Article 232B7 of the Constitution and Section 7.2 of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission Act, recommends Ms. Lynette Washiali Muganda and Mr. Mohammed Aden Abdi to the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning for transmission to His Excellency the President for consideration for appointment to the position of member of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. You may now proceed to vote. Now, honorable senators, the result for the division on that particular order is as follows. Ayes are 26, nays 1 vote, abstention 0. So the ayes have it. Now, Sergeant at Arms, you may open the door and withdraw the bar. I'm told we have members who wish to. Sergeant at Arms, you may now proceed to close the door and draw the bar. Call the next order, clerk.
Order number 10, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment number 2 Bill, Senate Bills number 52 of 2023, second reading, division.
Order, honorable senators. Yes, Senator Chimera. Senator Boni.
Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 159-1 of the Senate, and I wish to withdraw the said Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 52 of 2023, Mr. Speaker, which is appearing in today's order paper as order number 10. Mr. Speaker, the reasons for my withdrawal are well captured in my letter to you, contents of which are well within your knowledge, Mr. Speaker, and also the need to ensure a much more wider and broader consultation on the effects of this particular bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you and I wish to withdraw, Mr. Speaker.
That particular order stands withdrawn. Next order, clerk.
Order number 11, the Local Content Bill, Senate Bills number 50 of 2023, second reading, division.
Honorable Senators, I'll proceed to put the question on this order. Senator Boni and Senator Eddy. Senator Eddy, take your seat. The question is that the Local Content Bill, Senate Bills number 50 of 2023, be now read a second time. You may proceed to vote. May the following senators proceed to dispatch: Senator Nyutu, Senator Murango, and Senator Mudama Kavindu. You may proceed to dispatch and cast your vote. Order, honorable senators. Senator Dulo, take your seat, please. The result of the vote is as follows: ayes 30, nays 0, abstention 0. So the ayes have it. Next order.
The Local Content Bill 2023, a bill for an act of parliament to provide for a framework to facilitate the local ownership, control and financing of activities connected with the exploitation of gas, oil and other petroleum resources, to provide a framework to increase the local value capture along the value chain in the exploration of gas, oil and other petroleum resources and for connected purposes.
Next order, clerk.
Order number 12, the Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 54 of 2023, second reading, division.
Senator Chute, take your seat, please. Honorable senators, I will proceed to put the question that the Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 54 of 2023, be now read a second time. You may proceed to vote. May the following senators proceed to dispatch and cast their vote. Senator Kamau Githuku, Senator Mudama, Senator Fatuma Dulo, and Senator Seki. And Senator Wambua too. Order, honorable senators. Senator Fonandi. The result of the vote is as follows. Ayes 30, nays 0, abstention 0. So the ayes have it.
The Early Childhood Education Amendment Bill 2023, a bill for an act of parliament to amend the Early Childhood Education Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 13, the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 40 of 2022, second reading division.
Honorable senators, I'll proceed to put the question that the Land Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 40 of 2022, be now read a second time. You may proceed to vote. May the following senators proceed to dispatch to get some assistance. James Lomenen, Senator Fernandez, Senator Samson Chirange, and Senator Keroche Karanja. Proceed to dispatch and cast your vote. Senator Fernandez, kindly take your seat, please. The result of the vote is as follows. Ayes at 30, nays at 0, abstention at 0. So the ayes have it.
The Land Amendment Bill 2024, a bill for an act of parliament to amend the Land Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 14, the Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2024, second reading division.
Honorable Senators, I'll proceed to put the question that the Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 12 of 2024, be now read a second time. You may proceed to vote. May the following senators approach dispatch for purposes of being assisted on how to vote. Senator Boni Kalwale. Senator Okech Eddie. Senator Mungatana. Senator Manzo. Senator Mudhama. Senator Gataya Mofaya. And Senator Wafula. Order, honorable senators, the majority leader and minority whip. The result of the vote is as follows: ayes 30, nays 0, abstention 0. So the ayes have it.
The Intergovernmental Relations Amendment Bill 2024, a bill for an act of parliament to amend the Intergovernmental Relations Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 15, the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, second reading, division.
Order, Majority Leader. Honorable Senators, I'll proceed to put the question that the Energy Amendment Bill, Senate Bills number 42 of 2023, be now read a second time. You may proceed to vote. May the following senators proceed to dispatch. Senator Nyutu, Senator Morango. Order, honorable senators. The result of the vote is as follows. Ayes at 30, nays 0, abstention at 0. So the ayes have it.
The Energy Amendment Bill 2023, a bill for an act of parliament to amend the Energy Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 16, the National Disaster Management Bill, National Assembly Bills number 24 of 2023, second reading, division.
Honorable senators, I'll proceed to put the question that the National Disaster Risk Management Bill, National Assembly Bills number 24 of 2023, be now read a second time. You may proceed to vote. May the following honorable senators proceed to dispatch to get assistance. So now to cast their votes. Senator Fernandi, Senator Chiranke, Senator Eddie Okech, and Senator Newt. Senator Newt, proceed to dispatch and cast your vote. Senator Fernandi. Senator for Nandi, take a seat, please. The result of the vote is as follows. Ayes at 30, nays at 0, abstention at 0. So the ayes have it.
The National Disaster Risk Management Bill 2023, a bill for an act of parliament to establish the National Disaster Risk Management Authority and county disaster risk management committees to provide a legal framework for the coordination of disaster risk management activities and for connected purposes.
Sergeant at Arms, you may now open the doors and withdraw the bar. Next order. Now, honorable senators, we had deferred comments on the statements. So we'll conclude that before we go to order number 17. Senator Wafula, you had the floor.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru. Nilikuwa nachangia hoja kwamba kuna miradi mingi ya maendeleo katika kaunti zetu, miradi ambayo kaunti imekwama. Kwa mfano kuna kaunti ambazo miradi na mijengo imekwama kwa muda wa takriban karibu miaka 10. Kaunti zingine miradi miaka 6, miaka 3. Na hatuoni sababu inayoshinikiza miradi hii kutokamilika. Na tukipiga kurunzi, Mheshimiwa Spika, tunapata kwamba ni miradi ambayo huwapa kipato wanakandarasi ama baadhi ya maafisa katika kaunti husika, na hivi kuhakikisha kwamba Wakenya na kaunti wanakamuliwa pasipo wao kujua. Sasa naunga Mheshimiwa Kavindu mkono kwamba magavana na serikali za kaunti ziweze kujukumika wanapoanzisha miradi ya maendeleo, ikamilike katika awamu zao za uongozi, ili kwamba wale ambao wanachukua tamu za uongozi baadaye hawalipi madeni na kushughulika na madeni ambayo hawakuhusika kuidhinisha na kuanzisha miradi hii. Mheshimiwa Spika, vile vile ni jambo ambalo linadhihirika kwamba miradi hii hupitishwa pasipo matarajio ya baadhi ya viongozi katika kaunti. Wanangoja palipo awamu ya mwisho ya makataa ya bajeti ama siku za kifedha, ndipo miradi hii kwa haraka hupitishwa katika awamu ya kimombo nasema supplementary budget. Sasa mimi naomba jumba la Senate liweze kumakinika na kuhakikisha kwamba mambo kama haya yanasitishwa na hatua madhubuti kuchukuliwa. Jambo la pili, Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kuunga Mheshimiwa mwenyekiti wa kamati ya ukulima kwamba tutasitisha vikao vyetu ili kuhakikisha fedha ambazo kamati zinapewa ni fedha za kutosha kuhakikisha kwamba kamati ya ukulima inaenda nyanjani kushughulika na zaraa ama ukulima ambao umegatuliwa kirasmi katika nchi ya Kenya. Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuwezi kuwa tunakaa Nairobi kupiga gumzo, kuboronga Kiingereza, kutunga sheria hapa Nairobi ilhali hatuendi mashinani, wakulima wa mashinani wahusishwe katika sheria ambazo tunashughulikia. Mheshimiwa Spika, juzi tulikuwa katika hatua za kufanya majadiliano ya mswada kule Mombasa, na tukakatisha safari yetu kwa sababu tuliambiwa mkoba wa kifedha wa jumba la Senate umeisha na hakuna hela ndani. Tukafunganya virago tukarudi Nairobi, mioyo ikisononeka. Ilipaswa vile vile tuendelee na mkutano na mikutano mingi. Sasa mimi naomba Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa niaba ya wale ambao huenda wanaumia na wameshindwa kuzungumza, Mheshimiwa Spika, kusema kwamba kamati za bunge zipewe fedha za kutosha. Na tukiangalia miaka na seneti miaka iliyopita walikuwa wanapewa fedha za kutosha za kufanya kazi. Sasa mimi naomba turudi katika kumbukumbu za kifedha. Tuone iwapo miaka 10 iliyopita kamati ilikuwa inapewa milioni 20, milioni 15, iwaje sasa ambapo tumepiga hatua nyingi za gatuzi tunaanza kukohoa na kukatiwa hewa ya kifedha. Mheshimiwa Spika, sasa hili ni jambo ambalo viongozi katika jumba hili, viongozi katika kamati na jumba la Senate, mumakinike, mujinyanyue na mututetee, kwa sababu tumewapa nafasi. Hatutaraji sisi wenyewe tuje hapa tuanze kuzusha, tuanze kudai kana kwamba sisi sio jumba la Senate ambalo hugawia makaunti fedha za ugatuzi za kufanya maendeleo. Na mwisho, Mheshimiwa Spika, juzi tulipitisha bilioni 400 kwenda katika kaunti. Iwaje sisi wenyewe tunashindwa kutekeleza majukumu yetu kwa sababu hatuna hela? Ni kinaya. Nataka tu nielezwe kama kuna hela ama hakuna hela. Huenda nasema kuna hela na ziko hewani mahali na sijaziona. So Mheshimiwa Spika, nashukuru kwa nafasi hii na kutaraji kwamba miradi ambayo haijakamilika ikamilike na yale ambayo inatapaswa kuanza ianzwe na imalizwe katika awamu za magavana walioko sasa. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
And Honorable Senators, the time that was allocated was 15 minutes for statement comments on the statements. And fortunately, Senator Wakoli has used almost 6 minutes. So let us get now Senator Ososi Gonfrey. Within 2 minutes, you can make just one comment on the statements.
Chair, I want to make a comment on the statement by the Chair of Standing Committee on Education on the matter of the current study they are doing on ECD, so that, Mr. Speaker, they come up with a uniform scheme of service for ECD. Mr. Speaker, this would be one of the greatest achievements of this Senate if this matter was prioritized, because we have a crisis in the management of ECDs in our counties. And it is a high time that the Committee for Education finalized this report and brought it to this House so that we can pass it and have it implemented in our counties. Mr. Speaker, very soon my committee of CPIC is going to present a report on their findings after they have reviewed the bursary funds in counties. Mr. Speaker,
the bursary fund in our counties, we have found out that these funds have been misused and mismanaged, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is illegal for our counties to continue appropriating money into these bursary funds or the so-called governor scholarship funds when that function is not a devolved function. It's a national government function, Mr. Speaker. And they are putting money in these funds at the same time starving the ECDs and the vocational training centers of the funds that are required to run them efficiently. Mr. Speaker, one of the most fundamental things that this House has to do is to abolish all the bursary funds that we have in our counties. Let people get bursaries from the national government, CDF, or from Ministry of Education. Let the counties focus on devolved function. That is the ECDs.
Just a minute, Senator. So what is your point of order, Senator Andy? Point of information. Do you want to be informed?
He can inform me because he's a member of my committee and we have been dealing with the bursary funds, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to inform the chair of CPIC and the deputy party leader of ODM, Senator Osotsi, on the beat around the proper scheme of service for teachers at the ECD level. The bill you have just passed at the second reading, the bill on ECD, comprehensively seeks to address this particular issue. And I wanted to inform him that I know he has voted for the bill, but maybe he hasn't read that bill. And the reason why I'm informing him is because he's one of the most important senators of this House in terms of coming up with serious amendments. So that in the third reading of that bill, perhaps he can propose amendments, but that bill has just passed the third reading, in the second reading that we'll just add right now in the division. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Eddy.
Conclude, Senator Ososi.
Yes, thank you, Senator Eddy. You know, the scheme of service is one thing, but there are other challenges that face ECD management in our counties, including even provision of appropriate environment for learning. For example, classrooms, sanitary areas, they are not there in most of our ECDs. So it is a comprehensive matter, and that capacity issues around the ECDs are largely caused by low financing or funding of these ECD programs in our counties. And that's why, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying it will be important for us to review the way the counties spend their money on education. It is illegal, and this has been going on for some time, Mr. Speaker, where counties put money in bursaries so that they can easily steal, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think this House has to rise to the occasion and abolish the bursary funds that we have in our counties. And soon, Mr. Speaker, after completion of a report, we'll be bringing a report in this House that demonstrates how bursary funds and the governor scholarship funds, or some counties have even invested in school infrastructure, building.
Senator Chalge Samson.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I just wanted to react to the statement made by the chairperson of Agriculture. One, it is disappointing that the issue of capacity and ability of committees is dysfunctional. Mr. Speaker, as the chair of Liaison Committee, I expect you to intervene on this matter. And Senator Faki had requested for Kamkunji. I hope we can be able to discuss this matter. Secondly and finally, Chair, I needed an update from the Chair of Agriculture, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of bonus. You remember where I come from, Nandi County, Vihiga, Kakamega, Nyamira, Kisii, Bomet, and Kericho, our tea bonuses were very low. We were receiving 17 to 25 shillings. But on this other side of the country, Mr. Speaker, sir, they were receiving up to 61 shillings bonuses, Mr. Speaker. And that is why I expected even up to Bungoma. Mr. Speaker, that's why I expected on the issue of tea bonus. Even I saw even in your area today, I saw your people demonstrating, yet they are getting even more better, up 57 to 60 shillings. As in Nandi, we are getting only 15 shillings, 17 shillings to 25 shillings, Mr. Speaker. So this issue on T-bonuses of our farmers, especially from the Rift Valley, Mr. Speaker, and part of Nyanza, and part of Western Kenya, Mr. Speaker, we are suffering, Mr. Speaker. We need this issue of T-bonuses to be told. Because you cannot tell us that the tea that comes, Mr. Speaker, from another part of Kenya fetches more bonuses over there that come from Rift Valley, Mr. Speaker. And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to the Agriculture Committee to tell the country what really is happening about the bonuses that we have in this country, Mr. Speaker. So that our
Senator Chalege, in just a minute. You know the statement by the Agriculture Committee was on the business that have been on the committee for the last session to date. Maybe that business is not before the committee on the team bonuses. So maybe if there is a statement you have sought, you will be able to respond to that matter when the time comes. But he could not respond to something that has not been finalized by the committee.
Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, I have seen in the statement he has talked about the Kenya Tea Development Agency, the issue of tea matters are in his statement that were presented today. So, Mr. Speaker, but also our committees should be judicially noticed of what is happening, Mr. Speaker. I thought that has been the thumb rule of committees. But I know the Chair of Agriculture, we have expectations a lot from him, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you.
We're almost concluding now, Senator Kaluda Sengo. On statements, I think that should be the end of that session.
Thank you. Asante sana, Mheshimiwa Spika. Nasimama kuunga mkono hoja iliyowasilishwa na Senator wa Machakos, Senator Agnes Kavindu, kuhusu miradi ambayo imesimama katika kaunti zetu. Na kwa hakika niseme kwa miradi mingi ambayo imesimama na imeacha kumaliziwa, imekosa kumaliziwa, imekosa kutimiza kazi ambayo ilianzishwa kufanya, ni kwa sababu ya viongozi ambao walikuwa awali, kama ni governor akipata mradi ambao ilianzishwa na predecessor wake ama governor aliyekuweko mbele, ama kama ni mbunge ama mwakilishi wa wodi, wanaacha hizo miradi kwa sababu za kisiasa. Anaona akimalizia hiyo miradi atakayepata sifa na ni yule aliyetangulia kuanzisha huo mradi, ambao ni makosa, Mheshimiwa Spika. Jambo la pili ni kusema kwamba pesa ya umma inatumika kuanzisha hii miradi, na hiyo miradi isipomaliziwa, kamilika ndio ifaidi wananchi, pesa ya umma inapotea na imekuwa wasted, na ambao ni makosa sana, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa pesa ya umma kupotea na kukosa kufaidi wenye nchi. Niseme, Bwana Spika, maendeleo ambayo inakusudiwa kuletwa na pesa ya umma, miradi ikianzishwa katika counties zetu na inakosa kukamilika na inakosa kutumika, basi inakuwa maendeleo inasimama. Na tunajua kama viongozi katika jumba la seneti, sisi utetea ukamilifu na kufanya kazi kwa devolution. Kwa hivyo isipofanyika, basi inakuwa kwamba sisi kazi yetu haijahalalishwa kikamilifu, na basi wananchi wa Kenya wanapoteza pesa zao, maendeleo inakosa kupatikana mashinani, na wananchi wanahangaika ili hali walipiga kura, wanalipa ushuru, na pesa zao ambazo wanatumia kwa kulipa ushuru zinapaswa kutumika kuleta maendeleo kwa wananchi, na basi maendeleo inakosa na inakuwa ni kupoteza pesa za wananchi ambayo haistahili. Mheshimiwa Spika, nitachangia kidogo kuhusu ripoti iliyoletwa na mwenyekiti wa ukulima. Mimi ni mwanakamati wa kamati ya ukulima, na ni vibaya, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwamba mgao wa fedha ambao unapaswa kwenda kwa kamati, basi kwa kamati ya ukulima inapaswa.
Can we now go to the next order?
Order number 17, the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bills number 38 of 2024, second reading, resumption of debate.
I'm informed that Senator Boni Karware and a balance of 13 minutes on this motion. Do you intend to proceed executing?
Mr. Speaker, I would like to proceed. I had barely started, then time was up. So I would like to use a bit of that time. And I want to thank you, Mr. Speaker, for allowing me. In the first 5 or so minutes when I spoke, I was able to go into the work we did as a committee, and I want to use this opportunity to request colleagues, members of this Senate, for support of our report on the fact that we do not remove even 1 shilling from the revenue that this House passed. That the 400.16 billion shillings in its entirety should go to our counties. Mr. Speaker, as I say this, I know counties are faced with serious problems of pending bills, talking about Kakamega, talking about Nairobi. The pressure is too much. So I want to urge governors, as soon as they get this money, even if some of them do not respect us, we've done our bit. Let them make sure that the economies in our counties remain vibrant through settlement of pending bills. And Mr. Speaker, saying this, it reminds me, according to the report of the Controller of Budget, my county of Kakamega had a whooping 1.47 billion shillings in pending bills. And it took me a lot of interest, a lot of hard work to push the governor to start paying these bills. I want to thank this same committee, without which Governor Barasa had refused to pay the people who gave credit to our county, and now he has been able to pay 751,800,000. Mr. Speaker, I want to congratulate the governor for paying this 771.8 million shillings to our creditors. And I want to assure the remaining creditors who have not received their money due in pending bills worth 718.2 million shillings to rest assured and know that for as long as God allows me to be the senator of Kakamega, before the end of this financial year, Governor Barasa will have to pay this balance. And I want to congratulate them. When we were doing our oversight conference at the Golf Hotel, the information they gave us was very useful, and we are using that information. They'll be paid. And for Governor Barasa, we have summoned you to come to the Senate to demonstrate why you cannot pay this balance, because you have no reason. We've given you the money as the Senate of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, it is important that before I end the contribution on this very important bill, we must speak to some of the bad manners by our governors. Some of our governors have got serious bad manners. We must call them out. Mr. Speaker, right now, I've just been watching some news on social media. I hope it is true. And it shows unrest in the county of Nandi. Mr. Speaker, it shows unrest in the county of Kericho.
For Nandi wants to inform you, I don't know on what matters.
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I'm concerned about the unrest in Nandi and they're my neighbors.
So do you wish to be informed by the
Yes,
Senator
on behalf of
Nandi?
the lawyers of Jesumei who live and vote in Nandi, I would love to be informed.
Proceed, Senator Chak.
Mr. Speaker, I want to inform my good neighbor Omwami, the bullfighter, and we talk, Nandi County Assembly is under siege because the people of Nandi are moving the MCAs to commence impeachment proceedings against the inept governor, Sang, and remove him from office. And I want to assure there have also been some blows, exchange of blows by members of County Assembly. And Mr. Speaker, this is, we must ensure devolution works by fire, Mr. Speaker. And I want to confirm that this House should be ready for impeachment against the governor of Nandi, Governor Sang, in the next few weeks. Because from the intelligence I have, Mr. Speaker,
What is the information that you wanted to pass?
I wanted to
on Senator
confirm to him that it is true that there is unrest in Nandi because people are tired of bad governance and corruption that is being perpetuated by the governor of Nandi, Sang. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful because I was worried that somebody would shoot up and challenge me for quoting social media. Of course, social media cannot stand in this House. So the confirmation from the distinguished senator of Nandi that there is unrest in Nandi must be taken seriously. And even more so by Senator Boni Khalwale and Senator Osotsi, because our cousins come from that county. Mr. Speaker, it's amazing that one of the voters in Nandi gave me a payslip, a copy of a payslip, and showed that a relative, a very close relative of the governor, is drawing a salary of 145,000 shillings per month, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, a governor's relative, who I don't mind, our relatives can work in our offices. They're entitled to jobs in counties. But when those relatives are over 60 years old, then it calls into question why they could be drawing a salary for not earning that money because they're not in employment. They're ghost workers, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to call out our governors on bad manners of the cost of foreign travel. The bill of foreign travel in this country by governors is amazing, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the most traveled governors, the governor of Nairobi, governor of Kakamega, shame on you. And the governor of Nandi. What are they doing? Mr. Speaker, imagine the governor of Kakamega spend 418 million shillings, 640,000 to fly around. Sang spent 310 million shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even if their friends are in here and they are comfortable about this truth, we will call them out. Mr. Speaker, sir, the bad manners of refusing to digitalize, Mr. Speaker, revenue collection is because governors want manual collection so that at the end of the day, they sit in the office with the finance people to share the daily connections like bank robbers. Mr. Speaker, can you imagine that a great young woman like Gladys Wanga, she comes from a very small county with limited opportunities of how to raise her own source revenue. And Gladys Wanga is leading from the front. She's doing a good job. I hear she's now the chair of the Orange Democratic movement. That is extremely attractive. I think your party is starting to look good. Very good indeed. If the chair can lead in realization of on-source revenue, ODM is doing very well. Mr. Speaker, Gladys Wanga raised 1.2 billion shillings from a rural constituency, a rural county. Madam Speaker, I also want to congratulate the governor of Narok. He raised 4.75 billion shillings. Narok here, the Maasai is when you see them in the white shukas, they are able to contribute their own source revenue worth 4.75 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, the governor of Nairobi, he does a few bad things, but then surprises me with very good things. Like on on-source revenue, he has done well. He has raised 12 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, I cannot fail to congratulate the governor of Bungoma on on-source revenue. Governor Lusaka found when Wangamati was collecting a mere 400 million shillings. But the man who sat where you are, who learned good manners of respecting public money from this house, Lusaka, has done wonders. From 400, Lusaka has raised 1.12 billion shillings in Bungoma. And he's a living shame to what is happening in Kakamega. Oh, Kakamega. Oh, Kakamega is the second biggest county in this country. It has got some of the best resource raising points, Mr. Speaker, including the economy of Butali Sugar Company, 10 billion shillings economy. It pays taxes, including cess. Mr. Speaker, West Kenya Sugar Company, a company with an economy of 15 billion shillings per year. And Mumias Sugar Company with an economy of 24 billion shillings. This is before you mention the other avenues of on-source revenue collection. The governor of Kakamega found when Paranya was doing very well. The collection of revenue has tipped. Right now, he's trailing, according to the report of the Controller of Budget, and I invite colleagues to read it. Kakamega County, Bomet County, Busia County, Mandera County, and Migori County are the bad boys on abuse of on-source revenue. Governor Barasa, you cannot be collecting money from our women at Hayaga, our borders, from Malaba, from Butere, from Mumias, from Malinya, from Shinyalu, from Lumakanda, and Likuyani, and you'll be abusing that money. We want that money to be banked. Mr. Speaker, I want to end by speaking again to the bad manners of governors, something called extravagance. And I hear some people are harassing the Controller of Budget because they think she's exposing them too much. National Assembly, please give the Controller of Budget more money. She's doing a good job. She's calling out these people so that Senate can be able to deal with them. She has found that the top, Mr. Speaker, abusers of expenditure include the following counties: Kakamega County, Nakuru County, Bungoma County, Tana River County, Kitui County, Mombasa County, Machakos County, Kwale County, and Nyeri County. She's saying that the ones who are abusing the revenues in their counties through collection. Now that she has brought this report, colleagues, I'm starting to wonder, could it be true what I was seeing in the media from the Machakos local media, that their governor was having problems in London last week? Mr. Speaker, this could be the reason. She's been flagged out here. And Mr. Speaker, Machakos has splashed 100.
Senator Boni Karwale, just use the statistics from the control of budget.
They're the ones here.
Matters from the media and the social media, just forget it.
This is
Yes.
control of budget. I've taken a photograph.
The stories that you led, you now stick to the control of budget. report.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
You are doing so well.
According to the control of budget, Machakos, they have just splashed 193.85 million shillings on having fun, and the control of budget cannot understand why they are wasting this money. And Mr. Speaker, the worst, number one abuser, according to the control of budget, is they call it FCAP or FCP? FCPA, Fernandez Barasa, has spent 521 million shillings, $500 million shillings, on buying mandasis and lunch and water and sodas in the office, Mr. Speaker. It is not possible to spend $500
Give him that a second. To pronounce yourself on your position.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, with those many remarks, I want to oppose any attempt to reduce the money that this House allocated to counties, 400.16 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker.
Okay. Next is Senator Sifuna Edwin.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to oppose the proposal to review the division of revenue to reduce the amount of money that this House allocated to county governments from the 400 billion shillings that we passed to 380 billion. Honorable Speaker, I was listening to my brother Khalwale praising his governor for paying pending bills of 771 million shillings. I was wondering if he had not seen that report, but he has mentioned it, that Kakamega County spent 521 million Kenya shillings on buying tea and mandazi for Fernandez Baraza and his friends. Honorable Speaker, these are the governors who create justification for why government proposes such bills. This bad behavior that Senator Khalwale is referring is not widespread across the country. There are county governments that are really doing their best to serve and deliver to their people. But it is governors like Khalwale's governor, Governor Fernandez Baraza, spending $500 million shillings on tea and mandazi. These are the people who make it very difficult for us to push further resources to go to the counties. Honorable Chair, I also had another governor who is, I would call him my mother's governor, the governor for Bungoma. He went after the senator for Bungoma, insulting this entire Senate, Honorable Speaker, that we have no role in making sure that governors or county governments get the money that they deserve. Yet it is us here today who have to stand up and defend devolution and say not a shilling less from the 400 billion shillings that we passed here in this House. Where is Governor for Bungoma now? Where is he now? Does he not depend on the Senator for Bungoma to be able to make these arguments? So some of these governors make our lives very difficult, but it's not all of them. Many of them, I remember when this matter was before the committee, I have never seen such a high attendance of governors before this House. I think all of them were here because it was a question discussing the revenue that is going to counties. They make it very difficult for this Senate to make these arguments. We make these arguments, Honorable Speaker, not because we like our governors, but because we swore to defend devolution. Because I understand that the money that I pass in this House does not go to Sakaja as an individual. It goes to the people of Nairobi and the programs of the people of Nairobi. Honorable Speaker, the reason that I oppose this is fourfold. Number one, if you look at Section 2 of this bill, it talks about the purpose of the bill being to amend the Division of Revenue Act of 2024 so that you can have what the bill very strangely calls, Honorable Speaker, equitable sharing of the shortfall in revenue. Now, this is something that I have never heard of before, because in my reading of Article 202, Honorable Speaker, the only thing that is subject to equitable sharing is revenue, national revenue that has been raised. There is no mention anywhere in the Constitution of sharing of shortfalls. That does not exist in the Constitution, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, from the onset, you can see that the object of this bill is unconstitutional. Number two, Honorable Speaker, my reading and understanding of the Constitution is that there is an annual division and allocation of revenue bill. One bill, if you look at, Honorable Speaker, the provisions of the Constitution only speaks about an annual division of revenue bill. That means, Honorable Speaker, every 12 months, Parliament is only allowed one division of revenue. There is no way you can introduce a second one. And once we have passed that bill, Honorable Speaker, it is my view that because the Constitution talks of an annual division of revenue, you cannot introduce a second one. It comes only once and it is provided for. You cannot have more than one annual division of revenue bill. And so too, Honorable Speaker, in my view and interpretation of the Constitution, the annual allocation of revenue bill. Honorable Speaker, it has been the tradition of previous divisions of revenue bill to provide that the shortfall in revenue is to be borne by the national government. Curiously, this bill proposes to amend Section 5 of the bill that we passed here earlier this year, that the shortfall be borne by both the national and county governments. Honorable Speaker, it even goes further to say that the shortfall to be borne by the national government cannot exceed 15%. Which is why, Mr. Speaker, I want to come to the third reason why I strongly oppose this bill. It is that limitation of the ceiling to which the national government can bear the shortfall that has resulted in this bill proposing an even less amount to the amount that we passed in this House for the last financial year, Honorable Speaker. What we want to agree, and this is a debate we have had here with my colleagues in the Senate, is that whatever happens any financial year, we as a Senate cannot pass a division of revenue bill that reduces the amount of money that is going to be allocated to the counties if compared to what we had passed in the previous financial year. Honorable Speaker, you know it is on record that last year, even after the Commission on Revenue Allocation had proposed that we in this Senate give counties 415 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker, we only gave 385 billion shillings for the last financial year. This bill proposes a figure of 380 billion shillings, which is 5 billion shillings less than the amount that was sent to the counties last year. Honorable Speaker, as the Democrats in the US are now saying, we are not going back. We must push this journey of devolution forward. We cannot go back to 380 because to do so, next year we will be told, these counties now we will give them 370 at some point, Honorable Speaker, because the enemies of devolution continue to gather. At some point, Honorable Halwale, if we are not careful, we will be told it's 300, then 250, then 200, then we'll be told all these functions now will be transferred back to the national government. As people sworn to defend devolution, Honorable Speaker, it is my view that as the pocket of devolution shrinks, even so the role of this Senate and the role of senators. If we expand the pocket of devolution, we as senators get a greater mandate because we are overseeing or oversighting greater resources. Honorable Speaker, lastly, the question of the disbursement schedule. Before I go to the disbursement schedule, this 400 billion shilling mark, those of you who have been in this House before me know that it is a psychological mark that has been very difficult to break. That since the advent of devolution, it is this fourth Senate that has breached that target of 400 billion shillings. Honorable Speaker, we all took pride in the fact that we were the first senators to be able to push the envelope of devolution beyond 400 billion shillings. For us to then sit again and reduce it, Honorable Speaker, it is something that I believe we cannot allow. And it is because, in my view, the law already anticipates on how to deal with shortfalls. I don't refuse that because of the matter of the Finance Act and the fact that the President had to return it it has resulted in a shortfall in the provisions for the budget that we had this year. But Honorable Speaker, how do you justify going below even the amount that had been allocated in the previous financial year? Because we all know that with the collapse of Finance Bill 2024, or the Finance Act of 2024, the tax-raising measures we reverted to are the tax-raising measures of 2023, which supported the 385. I want to hear a justification why we would fall below the figure of 385 to 380 billion Kenya shillings. Honorable Speaker, just this morning, because I'm a member of the Senate Business Committee, together with the Leader of Majority, we were discussing the cut in the Senate budgets. Honorable Speaker, we did not complain. Even Senator Khalwale did not complain. When we were told that the budgets of the Senate are being cut by 20% as a result of the revenue shortfalls in the projections in the Finance Act. It is okay. It is okay, Honorable Speaker. We don't have a problem with cuts to the Senate or to Parliament as an institution. Parliament as an institution has been told we have to cut 3 billion shillings. I think the figure is slightly over 3.5 billion shillings in our budgets, and that is okay. We can make do with that. But for the people waiting for services in the grassroots, in the counties, Honorable Speaker, we cannot afford to take a step back. I will give you an example, Honorable Speaker. I was very proud as a Senator of Nairobi that for the first time, the County of Nairobi was going to receive above 20 billion shillings in its shareable revenue. We have a program in Nairobi called the School Feeding Program, Honorable Speaker, and it gobbles up almost 10% of the entire amount we receive as equitable revenue. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, although that program is expressed to cost almost 1.8 billion shillings, that program is only sufficient to serve 30% of the children of Nairobi, leaving a whooping 70% of the children of Nairobi outside that program. Now, the promise by the governor is that his plan is to expand it so that it can feed all the children of Nairobi, to expand it to the so-called up-bed schools, informal schools, which carry the majority of the school-going children in Nairobi. We need money. Honorable Speaker, we need money. In Nairobi, we need money. I know Senator Khalwale has praised my governor about the revenue-raising measures that have been put in place, but we have come nowhere close to the potential of Nairobi, as per the estimates from even the control of budget himself. So, Honorable Speaker, we need money in Nairobi. Now, the most heartbreaking thing for me when I came to this Senate is to discover that you can actually be allocated money in a budget, but receiving that money is a different story altogether. We passed something here, Honorable Speaker, called the disbursement schedule, which Treasury has never honored. What is the point, Honorable Speaker, of us passing things here that nobody ever follows? The governors there are the exchequer, money hitting the county government's account is a hit and miss game. It's just pata potea, Honorable Speaker. You can go 3 months, you can go 2 months, you can go 4 months without money, and you don't know when it will come. So it has been very disappointing for me to realize that we can put up this fight, and yet, at the end of the day, this money will not reach the grassroots in the manner in which it is proposed to reach. So, Honorable Chair, Honorable Speaker, my view is that as a Senate, we should always try to fight to push the envelope for the basket of devolution, that any attempts to reduce that amount is something that is to be resisted here on the floor of the Senate. And I understand all the discussions that have been had, and Senator Khalwale has spoken about some of them, the bad manners we see from the county governors. I pray that this Senate does not take out the bad manners of governors on the public themselves, the women who sell njugu at Khaega, or Mwami Senator Khalwale. They have never offended you. They have never offended the public purse. So we must find a way of dealing with some of these governors. And I'm really looking forward to these 2 governors appearing before the Senate, the ones I've mentioned here, because they are in the habit of addressing members of the Senate at funerals. And even inciting some MCAs, you hear them insulting senators from morning to evening. But when they come here, Honorable Speaker, you will think they are those mutotomisa we used to see when we were doing pastoral class. So another one came here, even he tried to run away from the committee by saying that he had forgotten his glasses at home, he couldn't see, because he didn't want to read the document that was incriminating. So, Honorable Speaker, the same vigor that we fight for these resources, we must be there as senators to protect those resources when they get to our county governments and ensure that it actually benefits the people of the counties that we represent. So, Honorable Speaker, with those few remarks, I want to say categorically that for me, I do not think that there is enough justification for this reduction beyond even what was allocated last year. And I would wish that every time we get opportunity to vote for monies for the counties, we are increasing and not decreasing. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Sifuna. Senator Mungatana.
Bwana Spika, napenda kuchukua nafasi hii kukupa asante kwa kunipa nafasi ya kuongea.
Just hold, resume your seat first of all. Let me allow Senator Boni Halwale to first table that report so that you can take the floor. Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my apologies on behalf of the Committee of the Senate Finance and Budget Committee. The printout of this report has been slow. It's now available. Members, I now formally rise to beg to lay this paper on the table of the Senate today, being the report of the Standing Committee on Finance and Budget on the Division of Revenue Bill, Bill number 38 of 2024. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I invite members to collect their copies before the debate.
Senator Mungatana, now you can take the floor and contribute to the motion.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa nafasi hii na mimi nitoe maoni yangu kuhusu hoja hii ya ugawaji wa fedha kati ya serikali kuu na serikali gatuzi. Bwana Spika, jambo ambalo tunalizungumzia leo ni kuhusu kupunguzwa kwa hizi seti. Sisi tulikaa hapa tukapitisha ya kwamba serikali kuu itapata mgao wake na serikali za kaunti zitapata bilioni 400.1. Sasa tunaletewa mswada mwingine wa kupunguza hizi hela za mgao wa serikali za kaunti, kwamba sasa tutoke ile bilioni 400 ishuke chini zaidi. Bwana Spika, sisi tungependa kusema kama senators, na mimi kama senator wa Tana River ningependa kusema ya kwamba tunakataa na tunapinga pendekezo la kujaribu kupunguza mgao wa serikali za kaunti. Na tunasema hii hoja ambayo imeletwa leo tunaikataa kwa sababu ya kwamba katiba na kuchukua mamlaka yetu kama maseneta, mamlaka kuu ya kupigania haki za seneta, mamlaka kuu ya kupigania haki za kaunti, haki za sehemu zetu gatuzi, na kuyatupa baharini. Kwa hivyo Bwana Spika, tunaomba katiba iheshimiwe na tunaomba serikali za kaunti ziheshimiwe. Kuna wengine wamesema eti kwa sababu kuna sehemu na serikali gatuzi zingine zinazotumia pesa vibaya, na wanajaribu kutumia fikra hiyo kupunguza pesa ambazo zinaenda kwa kaunti zetu. Mimi ningependa kujibu namna hii, niseme Bwana Spika, mambo ya utumizi mbaya wa fedha yaweke tofauti na utumizi na mgao wa pesa ambao unafaa uende kwa kaunti. Mambo ya utumizi mbaya wa pesa yako na namna ya kushughulikiwa. Kuna sheria ambayo itafuatwa, wanaohusika watakamatwa, mambo ya investigation itafanywa, na wale watakaopatikana na hatia watapelekwa mbele ya sheria. Kwa hivyo isiwekwe katikati swala hili la utumizi mbaya ama ufujaji wa pesa za county government ziwekwe pamoja ama itumike kama sababu ya kupunguza hela ambazo zinaenda kwa upande wa ugatuzi. Na Spika, ukiangalia pesa ambao zinaenda ama ule mgao ambao unaenda kwa serikali kuu, hata huo uko na shida. Kila mtu anajua, na ripoti hapa za controller wa budget zinasema mara nyingi kwamba shida ya ufujaji wa pesa pia uko katika serikali kuu. Kwa hivyo hakuna haki ya kutumia akili hiyo ama mawazo hayo kupunguza mgao wa county. Na mimi najua maseneta wote ambao tuko hapa, sote tunapigania kwamba kaunti zetu zipate mgao wao wa sawa, na tumeyazungumza haya na tumeyapitisha haya. Kwa hivyo mtu yoyote ama kamati ama sheria yote ama hoja yote ambayo itakuja nyuma kuja kusema ya kwamba vile tulipitisha na senti ambazo tushaziweka na vile tumekwisha kuwaelezea watu wetu ya kwamba kule kwa sehemu zetu gatuzi ya kwamba pesa ambayo inakuja kwa kaunti ni kiasi fulani, tutaenda huko sasa kusema nini ikiwa kwamba tutaambiwa tena tukate? Watu husema, Bwana Spika, nikiwa namalizia, kwamba jungu kuu halikosi mkoko, na kati ya serikali za kaunti na serikali kuu, jungu kuu ni serikali kuu. Kwa hivyo kama ingekuwa kuna mahali pa kukatwa zile pesa, ingefaa hizi pesa zikatwe kwa upande wa mgao wa serikali kuu, sio mgao wa serikali za kaunti. Magavana katika Council of Governors siku zote wanalia kwamba hata ule mgao ambao tunapigania hapa tunapata hautoshi. Na ni kweli ya kwamba serikali zetu za gatuzi ziko na shida, na zingine hata kulipa mishahara ya wafanyikazi wetu huko kwa kaunti. Na unapata saa ingine hata mishahara mwezi mmoja, miezi mbili haijalipwa. Sasa kama hali ni hizi mpaka saa hii, wafanyi biashara ambao wamefanya na sehemu za gatuzi hawajalipwa, kama hali ni hizo, itakuwaje tena turegeshewe mswada huu tuambiwe tupunguze tena mgao ambao tulikwisha upitisha na tumekubaliana unakwenda kwa serikali zetu gatuzi? Kwa hivyo mimi, Bwana Spika, nasema kama kuna kukatwa hela sehemu yoyote kupitia kwa hii budget, kupitia kwa shida ambazo zimetokea, jungu kuu halikosi ukoko. Kwa hivyo hii serikali kuu ndio ingebeba huo msalaba, sio kupeleka msalaba huu kwa sehemu za serikali za ugatuzi ambao tayari mgao wao hautoshelezi mahitaji ambayo yako kwa hizi gatuzi 47. Kwa hivyo, Bwana Spika, mimi naomba kupinga kupunguzwa hizi hela, na ninaomba maseneta wenzangu kutoka kila sehemu ya gatuzi hizi zote 47 tupinge na tuseme kama kuna kukatwa pesa zozote, mgao ambao ungefaa ukatwe ni upande wa serikali kuu. Kwa hayo mengi, naomba kupinga mswada huo. Asante, Bwana Spika.
Asante sana Senator Mungatana. Senator Osotsi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity to also make my contribution to this bill, the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill 2024. Mr. Speaker, I want to fully agree with my colleagues who have spoken before me that passing this bill in the form it is in, it is actually taking away our powers as Senate, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Article 96 of the Constitution gives us the powers to protect our counties and the governments of those counties. This particular amendment threatens Article 96 of the Constitution because it means, Mr. Speaker, that the national government will vary the equitable share within the fiscal year without making reference to Parliament, and particularly the Senate. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to join my colleagues who have opposed this bill, and I want to clearly state that I am opposed to this amendment trying to reduce the shareable revenue from 400 billion to 380 billion is an issue that we should not take lightly, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know very well that when we made a decision through the Finance Committee that we want to give our counties 415 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. We made that decision. We passed the division of revenue. When it was taken to the National Assembly, we were ready to go through mediation process, Mr. Speaker. And we accepted a lower figure of 400 billion shillings. The reasons that made us to accept a lower figure of 400 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker, are the same reasons that they are stating. The issues of shortfall in revenue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we cannot again go below the 400 billion shillings to 385 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I say so because of the following reasons. Number one, Senator Sifuna has stated very clearly that we cannot do the process of sharing revenue twice, 3 times in a year, Mr. Speaker. We already did that. The Constitution allows us to do it once, and we did that. We cannot be brought back here to be told that we go through the same process, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the second reason is that since 2014, the financial year 2014-2015, the percentage share of the equitable share in terms of percentage compared to the ordinary revenues has been going down, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we started at 22%. Now we are at 16.8%. And this proposal will take it further down, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, will be doing injustice to our counties as senators if we agree to further lower the percentage of equitable share to the ordinary revenues that are raised nationally. Mr. Speaker, we will also be creating an unpredictable situation in our counties in terms of revenue sources in the fiscal year. And this could easily impact on the budget implementation in our counties. Mr. Speaker, we will also be creating a channel for the National Treasury to vary the equitable share without reference to the Senate. So basically, by passing this bill, we are giving away our powers, Mr. Speaker. We are saying that the senators are no longer protecting counties. The senators are no longer protecting counties and are in bed with the national government. That is what it means. So, Mr. Speaker, I am happy that senators from across the political divide so far, we are in agreement that we should not go that route. And I want to acknowledge the Finance Committee, where my good friend Tabitha Mutinda, the ever-smiling lady, is the vice chair. The committee has stood firm and they have said they will not accept 380 billion shillings. And I've looked at the report, which is here, Mr. Speaker. They have even amended the bill to say they will stick with the 400 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, let us allow it to go that route. We are ready to go into mediation. And we will not this time around, those who will be selected to sit on the mediation committee, do not agree to go for a lower figure. We will stick with 400 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even as we seek to give our counties more money, Mr. Speaker, we must be very clear. The money that we are giving to our counties must be accountable, must be used or utilized well, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we continue seeing a lot of issues, as has been highlighted by the senators who have spoken before me. The reports by the Auditor General, the reports by the Controller of Budget, Mr. Speaker, some of them are not giving hope to the protectors of devolution, in this case, Senate. We would like to push for more money, but at the same time, Mr. Speaker, we want to see this money changing lives. We want to see this money being utilized well. We want to see corruption in our county ending. Mr. Speaker, I would like, if I approve this money, and I know my county will get more money, we would like them to invest this money in critical areas, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it is saddening that even as we are grappling with the problem of wage bill in our counties, most of the counties have gone beyond 35% threshold. They are even doing 85% to the budget. Mr. Speaker, this is unacceptable. And I have been receiving reports, Mr. Speaker. Some counties are actually engaged in what I would call employment spree. They are employing many people, even though the Auditor General has raised issues around wage bill. We want to tell governors, we want to tell the county government, please, even as we give you more money, look at the problem of wage bill. We cannot have wage bill of over 60% in our counties. Then what are we doing? We have simply converted our counties into employment bureaus. That was not the spirit of the fathers of devolution in this country. So even as we give you more money, please utilize the human resources you have to deliver for your people. Do not use that money to employ more people and add on to the problem of wage bill. Mr. Speaker, we have talked about travel costs. It is unacceptable that travel cost in our counties is skyrocketing, Mr. Speaker. When you hear that a county has spent 400, 500 million shillings on travel, local travel, Mr. Speaker, this is very annoying. It's very annoying. And this is not just traveling, Mr. Speaker. This is another source of corruption. That the money that is easily eaten is money on travel budget. We need to put safeguards, Mr. Speaker. We need to ensure that we have set targets on how much can be spent in a county on travel costs, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, critical devolved functions are almost collapsing in our counties. The ECDs, the TVETs, they are underfunded. And yet, a lot of money is being used on things that does not add value to our people, like travel. So, Mr. Speaker, even as we push for more money, we want more money to be appropriated towards critical functions like ECDs and TVETs. Matters of water provision and other services, Mr. Speaker, must also be prioritized. Mr. Speaker, I will not end this debate before I talk about the matter of disbursement of funds by the National Treasury. Mr. Speaker, the Constitution is very clear that 15%, at least 15% of the money that is raised nationally should be shared with the counties. Mr. Speaker, what is happening is that the national government is getting money and not prioritizing disbursement to counties. The Constitution is very clear. You make 1 shilling, out of that 1 shilling, 15 cents should go to the counties. 85 cents should go to the national government. That is not what is happening. Why should people in the national government be paid salaries on time, but people in counties are living without salaries for months, Mr. Speaker? This is unacceptable. And I think as a Senate, and I've said this before, on this particular issue of disbursement of funds, we are failing our counties. We have every year approved disbursement schedule with the clear dates when money should go to the counties, with the clear amounts of the money that are going to counties. But what happens to Treasury? Junior officers in Treasury discard all that and determine when to send money and how much. Mr. Speaker, as we are talking now, counties only received the July disbursement yesterday. They have not received August. They have not received the September disbursement. This is unacceptable, Mr. Speaker. How do you even plan with this kind of disbursement? So, Mr. Speaker, I think this House, we have a gap somewhere. Whenever we have a delay in disbursement of funds to the counties, it is important that the CS for Treasury appears before us, and not just the committee, the whole House, to come and tell us why there is a disbursement delay, and yet the national government is functioning properly. They are paying their salaries, they are doing what? We need him to appear here. And I have a motion on this. I wonder why this motion has taken. I presented this motion last year. Up to now, Mr. Speaker, your office has not processed my motion. Mr. Speaker, I think we must be very careful not to gag legislative powers of members. That when we make proposals for motions, let them be approved. Members to accept them or reject them. I have a motion on this matter of late disbursement of funds. No one is talking to me about it. I have been asking every day, and I'm told it's in the Speaker's office. Mr. Speaker, I'm addressing your office, and I'm addressing as a deputy party leader of ODM. A party that protects devolution. That we are here to protect devolution. And we get annoyed when we see our counties are not getting money. We know there are accountability issues, but let them get the money in time. So, Mr. Speaker, when you retire from this chamber, I want to see my motion approved so that it can come here and the members can debate it, accept it or reject it. But we must cover the gaps and ensure that whenever there is a delayed disbursement of funds, the Treasury CS must appear in the committee of the whole House to tell us why that delay is there. Mr. Speaker, when I talk about on-source revenue, the current report by the Office of the Controller of Budget clearly indicates that our counties can do better. We have had counties that have been having problems with on-source revenue generation, but they have improved. That tells you that our counties can do better. Muranga County has been doing very badly in terms of revenue collection. Now, Governor Irungu Kangata has now improved that. He has gone beyond 1 billion mark of revenue collection. That tells you that something is wrong in our counties in terms of revenue collection. And if this matter of ONSO's revenue, Mr. Speaker, is handled, then we'll be able to cover for a lot of challenges that we face in our counties, including the inability for our counties to function because of late disbursement of funds. Mr. Speaker, I am also informing this House that one major source of ONSO's revenue is health centers and hospitals. And my committee of CPIC, we are now processing audited reports for these hospitals. And I'm happy that after our meeting with the Auditor General, I have seen that the Auditor General has worked very hard to table a series of audited reports for our hospitals. And I'm sure, Mr. Speaker, if we review these reports, we'll be able to identify the gaps and promote governance in our hospitals as one of the major ONSO's revenue, and then eventually lead to the growth of ONSO's revenue in our counties. Mr. Speaker, with those remarks, I want to say that I reject the bill before us, and I support the Finance Committee position that we need to amend the bill to stay with a figure of 400 billion shillings, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I reject, and I want to issue a party position on this matter that the ODM party is not in support of reduction of the shareable revenue to our counties from 400 billion shillings to 380 billion shillings. Mr. Speaker, I reject the amendment.
Now, Senator Osotsi, you raised something with regards to a motion that you tabled in the last session. By practice, as a ranking member having served in the National Assembly, you know that motions lapses with the session. So if your motion was not concluded or not approved, then you've got to refile it afresh for purposes of it to be processed accordingly. Thank you very much. Senator Murango James Kamau.
Asante sana Mstahiki Spika. Kwanza nasimama kuunga mkono ripoti iliyoletwa na kamati ya fedha inayoashiria kwamba tunafaa tusipunguze pesa ambazo inaenda katika katu zetu kutoka bilioni 400 mpaka bilioni 380. Mstahiki Spika, lazima tutofautishe kati ya pesa ambao tunapeleka kwa gatuzi zetu za Kenya na yale ambayo yanakuja, na ndio maana tuko na kamati mbili, moja ni ya PAC na ingine PIC, kuangalia kwamba kila county inatumia pesa zake inavyokusudiwa kufanywa. Siku ya leo tumekuwa na ripoti nyingi, nimekuwa na ripoti moja ambayo imetoka kamati ya PAC na nikasoma kuhusu Kirinyaga na venye wanatumia pesa na mahali wanafaa kurekebisha. Mstahiki Spika, kuna mambo mengi tu katika gatuzi zetu ambayo hayajafanyika. Bado utapata barabara zinja kuwa nzuri, utapata hospitali zetu bado hazina mandawa. Utapata pia bado watoto wetu hawajaweza kupata basari venye wanafaa kupata. Na pia ukiangalia pia hata walimu wengi sana sana wa shule za chekechea, malipo yao bado ni duni katika katuzi zingine. Na kwa hivyo kuja kusema ya kwamba kama venye bunge la kitaifa limesema kwamba tupunguze fedha zinazoenda kwa county kutoka bilioni 400 mpaka bilioni 380, hiyo itakuwa ni makosa na itakuwa ni dhuluma kwa county zetu. Mstahiki Speaker. Mstahiki Speaker, nataka niongeze niseme ya kwamba bado tunatarajia kwamba mambo yatakuwa mazuri sana sana upande wa kilimo, Na ndiyo maana wakati tulipitisha mswada hapa na kusema kwamba tumeongezea hizo pesa mpaka bilioni 400, nilikuwa natarajia kwamba kutakuwa na mabadiliko na maongezeko sana sana kuja kushika mkono wakulima sana sana kwa sababu ya pembejeo, na kuwashikilia pia wakulima ambao ni wa maziwa na majani chai waweze kuendelea na kilimo chao. Kwa hivyo Mstahiki Spika, tukipunguza tutarudi pale pale na kupatia gatuzi zetu sambambu za kusema ni kwa nini hawakuweza kufanya hivyo. Katika sheria za ndora ambazo tuko nazo zinasema ya kwamba kunapokuwa na upungufu wa fedha wakati wa kukandilia pesa, serikali kuu ndio itakuwa inawajibika kujaza pengo ambazo itakuwa limeachwa wakati kumekuwa na bajeti ya ziada. Mstahiki Spika, kwa hivyo ni kusema ya kwamba itakuwa si haki kupunguza pesa ambazo zinaenda kwa county kwa kiwango hicho ambacho kilikuwa kinapendekezwa na bunge la kitaifa. Nikimalizia, Mstahiki Spika, bunge la Seneti kazi yake kubwa ni kulinda ugatuzi, na ndiyo maana tuko hapa. Na kulinda ugatuzi ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba fedha ambazo zinakusundiwa kwenda katika gatuzi zetu inaenda ipasavyo. Tushavalia njuga swala hili, tukaketi na tukapitisha. Na kwa hivyo mimi ningeomba ya kwamba pesa iende mashinani venye tulikuwa tumehashilia na venye tulikuwa tumesema. Kwa hivyo Mstahiki Spika, mimi napinga kupunguzwa kwa fedha ambazo zinaenda katika gatuzi zetu, na ninaunga mkono ripoti iliyoletwa mbele yetu na kamati ya fedha ya Seneti kusema ya kwamba fedha zinaoenda katika gatuzi zetu zimbaki bilioni 400 wala sio bilioni 380. Hii pesa inapofika kwa counties, ningeuliza pia mangavana waanjibike, kwa sababu kama kuna watu wastaarabu ni maseneta. Maseneta sisi ndio tunapitishanga pesa na kutetea county pesa ambayo sisi hatuhusiki katika venye zinatumika. Na ile heshima tunaweza fanywa na gatuzi zetu ni ya kuhakikisha kwamba wanatumia pesa tunazopitisha, tunazopigania kwa njia ambayo inafaa kufikia Wanjiku. Unajua kikwetu kuna kitu nasema kwamba kuna yule mwenye kukamua na kuna yule mwenye utoa komba mwiko katika maziwa watoto waweze kukunywa. Kazi yetu seneta tushakamua. Wale ambao wako mashinani, mangavana na wakilishi wandi, sasa ni kutoa komba mwiko wa maziwa ili wakazi waweze kujivunia matunda ya ugatuzi na waweze kupata huduma wanaopaswa kupata katika county. Kwa hiyo mengi na machache nasema asante Speaker, naunga mkono ripoti ya kamati ya fedha.
Senator Madzayo Stewart.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuweza kuchangia pesa za ugavi zinazokwenda katika serikali zetu zote 47 katika nchi yetu ya Kenya. Bwana Spika, kwanza jambo la kushangaza, jambo za kusikitisha kwamba hapo awali tulikuwa sisi tumekubali kwamba kile kiwango tulikuwa tumeweka cha shilingi bilioni 415 ambacho tulikuwa tunataka ni kitita ambacho kingeweza kutosha kabisa, kwamba sisi tulikubaliana na tukaweza kukiregesha, tukakubaliana kwamba kiregeshwe chini mpaka kifike bilioni 400. Bwana Spika, imekuwa jambo la kusikitisha hivi tena kuona kwamba kumekuwa na marekebisho zaidi ya kwamba irudi chini mpaka ifike bilioni 380. Bwana Spika, nguzo za uchumi wa nchi yetu ya Kenya zinategemea serikali zetu za ugatuzi, kwa sababu katika miaka mingi tumekuwa katika serikali ya kimataifa, ya kitaifa, na maendeleo yake yamekuwa nadra sana. Nakumbuka mimi Kilifi County ilikuwa iko na ambulance moja na ilikuwa inaharibika saa zote. Kwa hiyo watu walikuwa hawezi kupata maslahi ya kubebwa na ambulance wakati wakiwa wagonjwa. Bwana Spika, sasa ziko ambulance zaidi ya karibu 5 ama 6 ama 7 ambazo ziko katika Kilifi County. Bwana Spika, hiyo ni kumaanisha ya kwamba serikali ya ugatuzi inafanya kazi yake vilivyo. Bwana Spika, vile vile Bwana Spika, nataka kusema kwamba tunakataa hii bill. Ni kwa sababu bill inatengenezwa kuweza kuregesha pesa chini ili serikali zetu za ugatuzi alafu zinaanza kuingia katika shida ya kuweza kutafakari ama kufanya ile kazi ambayo wanatakana wafanye katika serikali za ugatuzi. Inakuwa shida kubwa sana kwa gavana kujipanga. Ikiwa hapo awali alikuwa amejipanga atafanya kitu fulani, na hivi sasa tumwambie kwamba hiyo pesa haiji kwa sababu hatukuweza kuipata. Hii Senate ndio bunge ambalo linahusika na serikali za ugatuzi, na sisi ni kama wale watu wamevaa kiatu. Bwana Spika, avae kiatu akisikia kina maumivu ama kinaumiza, anajua pale kinapoumiza. Sisi kama maseneta ndio tunajua ugonjwa wa county uko wapi, na kunazo sababu tunasema kwa nini county zitenge pesa za maendeleo ya mahospitali, ya madawa, ya barabara, ya shule za chekechea na maendeleo kadha wa kadha wanatakana waendelee nayo. Sisi ndio tunaelewa shida ambazo zinakumba serikali za ugatuzi na kazi zetu hapa tulizonazo. Bwana Spika, ikiwa nitakupatia taarifa Bwana Spika, niruhusu niseme kwamba kipengele cha 96 sheria ya kwanza inasema seneta kazi yake kubwa itakuwa kuwakilisha kaunti na pia kuleta mahitaji ya kaunti, ya serikali ama ya ugatuzi, na kulinda maslahi ya serikali za ugatuzi. Katika kipengele cha 96 sheria ya kwanza kwamba seneta kazi yake itakuwa kuwakilisha kaunti na pia kuweza kuleta ama kuangalia maslahi yake ya ile serikali. Kwa hiyo hii ni kazi ambayo inahitaji uangalifu na udhalilifu wa hali ya juu sana kuona ya kwamba mahitaji haya yameweza kupatikana. Lakini cha umuhimu zaidi kulinganishana na hii bill ambayo iko hapa mbele yetu ni kipengele cha 96 sheria ya 3 ambayo inasema ya kwamba taratibu za Senate katika kazi zake. Hii sheria hii inasema itakuwa senator itaweza kujadili na itaweza kusaidia kuona ya kwamba imeongeza zile pesa ambazo zinatakikana kutoka kwa kitita kile cha hazina ya serikali na kinachopelekewa katika serikali zetu za ugatuzi, kuona ya kwamba pesa ambazo zinagawanywa, pesa ambazo ni haki ya county, kila county pate haki yake, pesa hizo zimetimia. Bwana Spika, hivi leo ikiwa tunaambiwa tuweze kupunguza pesa hizi mpaka zifike bilioni 380. Bwana Spika, mimi nimekuwa ndani ya hili bunge tokea lianze, na nasema kama taratibu ya seneta ambaye anajua historia ya hii Senate. Hawa maseneta unaoona hapa, kitu cha kwanza ukitaka waende nyumbani wote ni kuweza kupinga kuongezwa kwa pesa zitakazokwenda katika serikali za mashinani. Bwana Spika, na hili ni onyo kubwa sana, kwa sababu ukiangalia wote huweza kupoteza hizo nafasi kwa sababu ya kitu kimoja tu, umekosa kupeleka pesa nyumbani. Na hivi sasa kila seneta hapa ana jukumu lake la kuweza kuchukua nafasi hiyo, kuonekana ya kwamba yeye amefanya bidii ndani ya hili bunge la Senate na amepeleka hizo pesa nyumbani. Na jambo la kusikitisha ni kwamba ikiwa hii bill itapitishwa vile iko, na tunatuma hawa wenzetu ambao watatuwakilisha pale katika majadiliano haya, kuona ya kwamba wamesita, wameweka miguu yao kisawasawa, wamesimama kidete, na wasikubali hizi pesa ziweze kupunguzwa, kwa sababu hizi pesa zikipunguzwa, hatari ni watu hapa waliochaguliwa kama maseneta wana swala la kujibu kule wanakotoka katika serikali za ugatuzi. Bwana Spika, nataka kumalizia tu nikisema kwamba shida za serikali za ugatuzi ni nyingi sana. Hivi sasa tunaona ya kwamba hata mishahara katika serikali za ugatuzi hazijalipa, na watu kule pia wafanyikazi wana haja ya kulipa hizi, na kuna mambo mengi ambayo wanatakana kufanya kama wafanyikazi pia, na hayo yote, majukumu hayo yanafanywa na serikali za ugatuzi. Kulipwa mishahara ni haki ya wafanyikazi. Bwana Spika, utaona hivi sasa wako wengi vijana na wasichana wamewachishwa skuli, ama vijana ni wasichana na wavulana, wengine hawameshindwa kwenda university kwa sababu baba zao bado hawajalipwa pesa. Na sasa tukiwa sasa hawajalipwa hizo pesa, na pesa tunazopeleka pia ni zile ambazo tulisema wapelekewe, itakuwaje sasa ikiwa hizi pesa zitapunguzwa? Ni kwamba sasa hata kwa familia, kama mtu mmoja alikuwa haendi skuli, basi watu wote wale watoto wengine pia watafata hiyo kauli ya kwamba hakuna pesa katika familia na lazima wao pia wakae nyumbani, wasiende skuli. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, jambo ambalo mimi nataka kusisitiza zaidi pia ni kwamba tusiweze kurudi nyuma, tuangalie safari ya kwenda mbele. Na tabia hii ya kuletewa bili na wale wenzetu na kusema kwamba tumepitisha pesa za juu, sisi tumesema tunataka bilioni 400 ziende katika serikali za ugatuzi. Asante Bwana Spika. Na naunga mkono kamati yetu iliyofanya kazi njema, na watakia kila laheri, waweze kusimama kidete na waweze kuzuia pale pale waliposimama. Asante sana Bwana Spika.
Thank you, Senator Mudzayo. Senator Mutinda Tabitha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I really want to start by appreciating senators that have spoken before me, because as the Vice Chair of Finance and Budget, as a committee speaker, we all unanimously agreed to reject the amendments. And the sentiments that have been given by colleagues are the same, and we really want to appreciate that. I want to recall in the beginning of this 13th Senate session, when we started, there was really much forth and back in the arguments of the division of revenue. But I'm happy today the discussion is an unanimous discussion of being on the same page, of agreeing to retain the equitable share to the counties at 401 billion. Mr. Speaker, on the same, I really do appreciate all the stakeholders that we walk a journey with. And more specifically, I would want to appreciate the COG. I've really seen this time round how COG have appeared before the committee, and we've been able to be on the same page, unlike at the beginning, whereby they never used to really appear or bother. But this time round, they've been in the forefront, which is good, so that it can be a win-win for all of us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to note that there has been reduction from the financial year of 2014-2015. The figures have been reducing. They started with about 21%, 21.7, that is about 22% rounding off, to where we are last financial year, 2023-2024, whereby the percentage is about 16.8%. Mr. Speaker, if we are to allow this figure to keep on going down, then this percentage definitely will keep on reducing. Then the bigger question would be, then why are we here? Secondly, what justifies these figures going down each and every time, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, as you know, last financial year, which was 385, we were coming from the previous allocation of 370. We were able to bring it to 385, still through a mediation process. At the same time, when our deliberation started as a committee, our proposal was 415 billion. We came to this House, and that was adopted, but because the figures were different, of course, we still went to mediation. We stood firm, and I really want to appreciate the committee that went for mediation. Still, they stood firm, and that's how we retained the 401 billion. But as Mr. Speaker, it is very important for this House to note, how did we get to agree and settle with an increment of 16 billion to 401, Mr. Speaker? Is because of the different parameters, the different policies that are already in place. And as a committee, we went further down to get to look at these issues that are in place. Because if these issues are also not being addressed, Mr. Speaker, or looked into so keenly, then we will be killing devolution. What are the issues? What were the concerns that as a committee we looked at? One of the key issues was the issues of the KIPES. The KIPES that have already been adopted by the county governments, Mr. Speaker, which requires a 50-50% share from both the national government and the county governments. Some of these projects have been kick-started. Some of these projects have been launched. And Mr. Speaker, for the counties to be able to achieve these provisions for KIPES, they require 11.7 billion, Mr. Speaker. Where is this money going to come from? Mr. Speaker, when we went further, there was the issue, the current issue of our CHPs. CHPs also, the formula that is in place talks about a 50-50 contribution from the national government and from the county government. And the amount is 3.23 billion, Mr. Speaker. If this reduction is made, Mr. Speaker, then it means our CHPs will go unpaid. Nairobi is leading with the highest number of the CHPs among other counties. And as we know how much input they're having, the impact that they have today. And so, if we reduce these amounts, does it mean that our CHPs will go unpaid, Mr. Speaker? There's the other issue of the NSSF contribution. With the new policies, these amounts have changed, and this cost is a recurrent cost that needs to be taken care by the county governments. And it amounts to another 3 billion. Where is this money supposed to come from? These are policies that are cut across nationally, which also affect the employees at the county levels. Mr. Speaker, there is the other issue of the housing levy issue, Mr. Speaker. The outstanding amount that the counties will require to pay is over 4 billion. These are policies that need to be adhered to. Mr. Speaker, we cannot forget also the salary annual increment for employees. And at the county level, it will be about 6.2 billion. Where are counties supposed to get all these funds to be able to sustain all these particular recurrent expenditures and developmental expenditures? Some of them, as I've stated earlier, there are policies in place, and they need to be supported. They need to be paid, and not just paid, but paid on time. If this is not considered, Mr. Speaker, where does it leave the counties? in terms of development, and also in terms of the staff, the employees at the county level, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, since these amendments are coming from the National Treasury, when the minister appeared last week but one before our committee, my greatest concern, our greatest concern as a committee, was what simulation was used to reduce the figure from 400 to 380. That is a whopping 20 billion. What mathematical formula was used to arrive at 380? Why not 399 then? Why not remove 300 and be left with 100 then? If figures just need to be removed without justifiable explanation as to then which budget needs to be cut. The explanation was not substantiated enough to justify the deduction of the 20 billion. Mr. Speaker, then it means these deductions have just been done. And so that means then, if we allow this to take place, especially keenly looking at clause 3, the clause 3, which had proposed to amend section 5 of Division of Revenue, which was to provide to provide that the shortfall, as per Article 219, which says, a county's share of revenue raised by the national government shall be transferred into the county without undue delay and without deduction, except when the transfer has been stopped under Article 235. If then we were to allow this amendment to take place, it will then mean the Minister for Finance will have room to change, to amend the equitable share to the counties without referring to Parliament. So if there is no justification for the 20, then tomorrow if another 10 is deducted, because there is room and we've given room as per clause 3, we would be leaving the county very exposed. This scenario is one of the uniquest scenarios because this has not happened before, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you look at the total shareable revenue. It's 2.6 trillion. The national government share stands at 2.23 trillion. And hence, counties at 401 as per the previous allocation. Instead of removing the 20 billion from the counties, what they should do, according to our proposal, is remove that 20 billion from the national government share. That's a manageable amount that when it cuts across the different ministries, it could be minimal. It could range even between 1.5 to 2 billion reduction, unlike just removing a whopping 20 billion from the county governments. So the amount, the remaining about 2.2 trillion will be enough to be able to cut across, looking at the other factors that I've mentioned earlier, the KIPES, CHPs, NSSF contributions, annual increment, all those, with this reduction, they will be able to affect the counties massively, Mr. Speaker. Earlier, we had the statement by Senator Kavindu in regards to the stalled projects, Mr. Speaker. And I rose and stated that the issue of stalled projects does not even cut, it's not only one county, but it cuts across all the 47 counties. What brings about these particular issues, Mr. Speaker? It is where we are, whereby budgets have been done, and then these projects have already been also started. They've kicked off. These projects end up stalling. So that is one, money that is just cannot be valued. It is just lying there. At the same time, people are not able to enjoy the project, the developments within that particular region. Issues of pending bills now crop up. Because, of course, investors have been able to put their money. They cannot be paid fully. Their project is halfway. Issues right, left, and center because of issues of monies not being enough or have been adjusted. The county assemblies do have budgets. So this then brings about budget challenges for the counties. Yes, I agree we have a big thorn in terms of the pending bills, but not all counties are experiencing the same. I know, and I acknowledge Nairobi has the huge, the biggest. You know, in this additional, it was to get, Nairobi was to receive 20 billion more. The pending bills are over about 100 billion. Since we've seen an increase in the on-source revenue, and this increase that is supposed to go to the county, probably, and I say probably, they would be able to focus on reducing their pending bills if money is not reduced. Mr. Speaker, as I finish, I want to also state, and I'm happy in the SBC today where I do sit, we looked at the CSS who are appearing before this House next week, and I'm happy because the Minister for Finance, if I'm not wrong, is actually one of them who will be appearing to respond to some of the questions. And apparently the former minister really was very active in the committee, but in the House he's never appeared. And I look forward for the current CS to be able to appear, so that most of these issues that we've always raised that are within his ministry, being a new CS, he would be able to understand this Senate and be able to address them. One of those key issues, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of delayed disbursements to the counties. The last time that he appeared, as I've said earlier, we raised the concern of Regulation 134 of the PFM Act, which allows that National Treasury can be able to disburse 50% of the equitable share revenue when we are in the situation we are. DORA, of course, was passed, but right now, amendments we are at the amendment stage. But the law is very clear. He communicated that the AG, he will consult with the AG to be able to advise the committee if that can be able to take place. And I am so happy because as of today, as a committee, we've been able to receive a response that has also been shared to the committee on the response and the advice of the Attorney General, the current Attorney General, Madam Dorcas Oduor, who has been able to advise, very straightforward, that in the absence of the county allocation of Revenue Act, the disbursement will be held up to 50% of the total equitable share allocated. The CS confirmed that I think before end of this month is going to disburse 32 billion to the counties. I'm happy when he appears tomorrow, I'll ask and request colleagues to also affirm that, so that our counties will be able to receive their share. Emphasis on ensuring timely disbursements are in place, and at the same time, that our people, the staff working at the counties, will be able to receive their salaries on time. This issue of employees not having salaries within more than 2 months, 3 months, it's very sickening. Because then how do we avoid corruption? How can you be seated transacting huge sums, millions of money, and you cannot be paid? This is where then some of these issues start taking place. So, Mr. Speaker, I do look forward that as we conclude on these amendments, on this discussion for DORA, the colleagues that will be able to sit in the mediation committee will be able to support the 401 billion, as we've been able to explain in detail. I'm happy the first time when majority was tabling this, he communicated and said, the committees are always best suited because they interact deeper with the bill. They look at the nitty-gritties of the issues. And that is why we rejected those amendments, Mr. Speaker. So we hope that the mediation committee will be able to respect and understand that. Otherwise, then, we will be killing devolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Munhaji Mohamed Faki.
Asante Spika kwa kunipa fursa hii kuchangia mswada wa marekebisho ya sheria ya dola. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwanza kabisa ningependa kuunga mkono ripoti ya kamati ya bajeti na fedha ya bunge hili kuhusiana na kuangalia kwao kwa mswada huo wa marekebisho ya sheria ya dola. Mheshimiwa Spika, sheria ya dola ilipitishwa mapema mwaka huu ambapo kiwango cha pesa ambazo zinatakana kwenda kwa kaunti zetu kwa muhula huu mwaka 2024-25 ni shilingi bilioni 400.1. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, kutokana na kuondolewa kwa mswada wa fedha mwaka 2024-25 katika bunge la kitaifa, imebidi kufanywa marekebisho ili zile fedha ambazo zingekwenda kwa kaunti zetu ziweze kupunguzwa kulingana na kwamba serikali haitaweza kukusanya pesa kama walivyokuwa wametarajia. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hiyo mswada unataka kupunguza fedha kutoka shilingi bilioni 400.1 mpaka shilingi bilioni 380. Mheshimiwa Spika, mwaka uliokwisha bunge hili pamoja na bunge la kitaifa lilipitisha shilingi bilioni 385.45 kama fedha ambazo zitatakana kwenda katika kaunti zetu. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, ni masikitiko kwamba pesa ambazo zilifika katika kaunti zetu zilikuwa ni shilingi bilioni 350 pekee. Bilioni 30 nyingine Mheshimiwa Spika na bilioni 355. Bilioni 30 Mheshimiwa Spika hazikuweza kufika katika kaunti zetu. Na mpaka sasa Mheshimiwa Spika, serikali haijaweza kutoa maelezo ni kwa sababu gani haikuweza kupeleka fedha hizo. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia jambo jingine la kusikitisha ni kwamba kutokea mwezi wa 6 mwaka huu kaunti zetu hazijapata hata ndururu kutoka kwa serikali kuu. Na nimesikia seneta aliyetangulia akisema kwamba kufikia mwisho wa mwezi watapelekewa bilioni 32. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, pindi pesa hizi zinazochelewa, serikali za kaunti zinapata shida Mheshimiwa Spika ya kukidhi mahitaji yao. Inasikitisha Mheshimiwa Spika kwamba jana daktari mmoja alijitoa uhai kwa sababu ya kukosa pesa au kucheleweshwa kwa mishahara ya madaktari, na hivyo basi hawezi kukidhi mahitaji yake ya kibinadamu. Mheshimiwa Spika, mambo haya ya kuchelewesha fedha yanachangia pakubwa malumbukizi ya madeni katika kaunti zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia kimsingi ni kwamba fedha zinazokwenda katika kaunti hazifasi kupunguzwa kwa njia yoyote, kwa sababu tukiangalia serikali kuu iko na uwezo wa kukopa kwa masoko ya fedha hapa nchini na vile vile pia masoko ya fedha ya nje. Lakini kaunti zetu Mheshimiwa Spika hazina fursa kama hiyo ya kuweza kukopa kwa sababu kwamba kukopa inataka ipate udhamini wa serikali kuu, na udhamini ule Mheshimiwa Spika hauwezi kupatikana kwa sasa kwa sababu serikali kuu yenyewe ina madeni kupita kiasi, ambapo wameweza kupitisha kile kiwango cha madeni ambayo yanatakana kuwako, ambayo ni 55% ya pato la kitaifa. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, kwamba kwanza ni kuwa fedha zinacheleweshwa kutoka kwa serikali kuu kwenda kwa serikali za kaunti, na pili, hata zile ambazo wanahitajia ambazo tayari zimepitishwa katika ile tunaita disbursement schedule pia vile vile haziwezi kufika kwa wakati Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, haiwezekani kwamba mapungufu ya fedha yaweze kupitishwa kwa serikali za kaunti wakati serikali kuu ina uwezo wa kuweza kukopa, ina uwezo wa kukusanya fedha ambazo zinakuwa juu ya zile ambazo wanahitajika kukusanya katika ule mwaka unaofuata. Mheshimiwa Spika, jambo la tatu ni kwamba wakati tunapozungumzia asilimia ya fedha zinazokwenda kwenye kaunti, hisabu tunazotumia ni za miaka minne nyuma. Kwa sasa tunatumia mwaka wa 2020 2021. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tutatumia hisabu za miaka minne nyuma kugawanya pesa ambazo zinakusanywa mwaka huu. Mwaka wa fedha tunaozungumzia Mheshimiwa Spika ni 2024 2025. Lakini tutatumia percentage ama kiwango asilimia ya mapato ya serikali ya mwaka 2020 mwaka 2021. Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo inatoa taswira mbaya kwa sababu fedha ambazo tunazungumzia ni fedha ambazo zitakusanywa mwaka huu, sio pesa zilizokusanywa miaka minne iliyokwisha. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, taswira hii inatoa sura mbovu kabisa kwa sababu kwa sasa serikali inataraji trilioni 2.6. Ilikuwa kwanza anatarajia trilioni 2.9, lakini iliporekebishwa inakuja trilioni 2.6. Wakati fedha ambazo tunazozungumzia Mheshimiwa, zile stakabadhi ama accounts zinazotumika kwa mipango hii ni za mwaka 2020 2021, ambapo mapato ya serikali kwa wakati ule nafikiri ilikuwa ni trilioni 1.9. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya kurekebisha katiba ili tuone kwamba zile takwimu ambazo zinatumika, asilimia inayotumika ni asilimia ya mapato ya ule mwaka ambao uko, kwa sababu hizi pesa serikali imenuia kukusanya na pesa hizi zote zinakusanywa katika kaunti. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, hatuoni sababu gani zisitumike hizo kuweza tarakimu za mwaka huu kuhakikisha kwamba pesa zinapatikana. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia zile sheria ambazo serikali kuu ilipitisha kupitia kwa bunge hili pamoja na bunge la kitaifa, utapata kwa Mheshimiwa Spika, sheria hizi zimeweza kuongeza gharama katika kaunti zetu. Kwa mfano Mheshimiwa Spika, sheria ya afya, Social Health Insurance Fund, inaongeza gharama kwa serikali za kaunti. Kwa sababu mfanyaji kazi analipiwa na vile vile pia kaunti inachangia katika pesa zile. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia pia sheria ya National Social Fund NSSF, vile vile pia inaongeza gharama kwa sababu tajiri analipa na vile vile pia mfanyaji kazi analipa. Kwa hivyo serikali za kaunti zitabidi ziingie mifukoni zaidi ili kuhakikisha kwamba wanalipia zile tofauti ambazo zinatakana kulipwa kwa wafanyaji kazi wao. Mheshimiwa Spika, tukiangalia masuala ya wafanyaji kazi wa afya ya umma, community health workers, hili ni jambo ambalo serikali imetilia mkazo ili kaunti zetu ziajiri watu hawa ili waweze kuhakikisha kwamba wanapata ajira na kuweza kusimamia hii sheria mpya ya afya. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, gharama zote hizi ambazo zinaongezeka, mbali na ile nyongeza ya mishahara ambayo iko katika makubaliano kati ya vyama vya wafanyaji kazi za kaunti hizi na pamoja na serikali za kaunti, zote hizi Mheshimiwa Spika zinachangia kuongezeka kwa matumizi katika kaunti zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hivyo hatuwezi kwenda na mfumo kwamba hizi pesa zipunguzwe, kwa sababu zikipunguzwa ina maana kwamba mambo mengi ambayo yamepangwa kufanyika katika kaunti zetu Mheshimiwa Spika hayataweza kufanyika. Tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sasa kaunti nyingi zinatumia asilimia kubwa ya fedha zake kwa mambo ya matumizi ambao sio ya maendeleo, yani recurrent expenditure. Mheshimiwa Spika, inatumia karibu asilimia 50 ya mapato ya kaunti zetu. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ikiwa hakuna fedha za kutosha kwenda katika miradi ya maendeleo, ina maana kwamba hatutakuwa na miradi yote ya maendeleo ambayo itafanyika katika kaunti zetu. Hivyo basi tutakuwa siku zote tunatumia pesa kwa mambo ya recurrent expenditure kuliko kutumia kwa maendeleo katika kaunti zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa tu kugusia mambo mawili ambayo yameweza kuangaziwa leo katika vyombo vya habari, kwamba ni kwa pesa nyingi zinatumika kwa mambo ambayo si ya msingi kimaendeleo katika kaunti zetu. Tumeambiwa kwamba kwa mfano Kakamega, chai na maandazi na mambo mengine ambayo si ya muhimu yametumia karibu milioni 522. Tukiangalia Nakuru milioni 400, Mheshimiwa Spika. Tukiangalia Bungoma milioni 400 vile vile, Mheshimiwa Spika. Japokuwa ya Mombasa sikuiona, labda sisi hatutumii mahamri sana. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, la msingi ni kwamba pesa nyingi zinatumika katika mambo ambayo hayaleti maendeleo katika kaunti zetu. Pesa nyingi zinakwenda katika safari ambazo hazileti natija, Mheshimiwa Spika. Pesa nyingi zinakwenda, Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa mikutano ambayo haileti maendeleo katika kaunti zetu. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya kaunti zetu kujaribu kupunguza, kwa sababu tumeambiwa katika mwongozo wa serikalini kwamba kutakuwa na watu kukaza mshipi, lakini tunaona Mheshimiwa Spika, bado kuna matumizi ambayo hayana msingi wowote kisheria kuhakikisha kwamba kaunti zinadorora kihuduma. Kaunti zinadorora. Ukiangalia katika masuala ya afya, Mheshimiwa Spika, ile mpango wa MES, Medical Equipment Scheme, Mheshimiwa Spika, ningeomba unilinde na haya mazungumzo yanayoendelea hapa, kwa sababu naona Senator Uroba amesimama karibu nusu saa, Senator Karungo Athang, Murango, Senator Matinga ambao ni wenyekiti, na nasikitika pia Mheshimiwa.
Allow the chair to keep them in order so that you can proceed. Please. Senator Veronica and Senator Matinga, if you are consulting, please do so in low tones. Senator Mutinda. Proceed, Senator.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Na ningeomba pia Senator Uroba aweze kuchukua kiti chake, Mheshimiwa Spika. Thank you. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunasema kwamba tukiangalia yale mambo ya msingi ambayo kaunti zetu yatakana kufanya, kwa sasa yamewekwa nyuma, wanafanya ambayo si ya msingi. Kwa mfano, utapata katika kaunti nyingi Mheshimiwa Spika, hospitali ama zahanati hazina madawa. Madaktari wanachelewa kulipwa mishahara yao, Mheshimiwa Spika. Wale CHWs ambao wameajiriwa kwa ili waweze kusaidia kupeleka huduma za afya mashinani hawapati pesa ama hawalipi mishahara yao kwa wakati. Hivyo basi inamaanisha kwamba huduma zinadorora katika kaunti zetu. Tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Spika, hakuna masoko mapya yanayojengwa. Tukiangalia ECD hazijengwi, Mheshimiwa Spika. Kwa hivyo haya yote ni kuonesha kwamba ugatuzi, Mheshimiwa Spika, unapungua kasi, sio vile ulivyokuwa unatarajiwa kukua kama ulivyoanza kukua kutoka mwaka 2013 mpaka 2022. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunasema kwamba kupunguza hizi fedha ambazo zitatarajiwa kuja kwa kaunti zetu zitachangia pakubwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, kudorora zaidi kwa huduma katika kaunti zile. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumezungumzia masuala ya Medical Equipment Scheme MES, ambao ulikuwa ni mradi mzuri, lakini vile vifaa vyote ambavyo vilinunuliwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, vinakaribia kufikia ukingoni. Haviwezi tena kutoa huduma baada ya karibu miaka 10 kutoka mradi huu uanze kutumika, Mheshimiwa Spika. Hivyo basi, Mheshimiwa Spika, ipo haja ya kuvirekebisha ama kubadilisha vifaa vipya. Kwa mfano, zile sehemu ambazo mashini za dialysis zilikuwa zinatumika, Mheshimiwa Spika, miaka 10 inaenda kuisha, kwa hivyo inatakana kupatikana mashini mpya. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukiangalia nyingine, labda zile pembejeo zinazotumika, software zinazotumika katika mashini zile zimebadilika kutokana na mambo mapya kuingia katika mitindo ya kuendesha mashini zile. Hivyo basi inatakana waekeze katika mashini mpya ili ziendelee kutoa huduma kwa wananchi katika sehemu zile. Mheshimiwa Spika, iwapo hizi fedha zitapunguzwa, ina maana kwamba miradi yote hii ambayo inatarajiwa kufanya na kaunti zile itaweza kukoma au kusangaa. Hivyo basi wananchi watakosa huduma muhimu katika kaunti zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, serikali ilisema kwamba itapunguza ile inaitwa ubadilifu wa fedha, lakini tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Spika, ubadilifu bado uko pale pale. Tukiangalia safari za nje zinaendelea kuwako kwa mawaziri na ofisi zingine kubwa za serikali. Tukiangalia Mheshimiwa Spika, fedha zinapotea kiholela katika mashirika na wizara ambazo EACC inachukua muda kuweza kuwapeleka mahakamani wale ambao wanahusika na ubadilifu wa fedha hizo. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, tunasema kwamba kupunguza fedha hizi itakuwa sio sawa kwa kaunti zetu kwa sasa. Mheshimiwa Spika, ina maana kwamba lazima serikali ijifunge kibwebwe, ihakikishe kwamba imekusanya kila kitu katika zile ambazo wamepanga kukusanya hilo trilioni 2.6 ili wahakikishe kwamba hakuna fedha zinapungua zinazokwenda katika kaunti zetu. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa kumalizia Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba wakati wa kamati kuchunguza mswada huu tulipata maoni kutoka kwa mashirika mengi pamoja na jumuiya ya magavana, Council of Governors, baraza la magavana. Mheshimiwa Spika, na wengi walikataa kupunguzwa kwa fedha hizo kwa sababu inamaanisha kwamba huduma katika kaunti zetu itaweza kudorora. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, mimi napinga mswada huu wa kuweza kurekebisha dora. Vile vile wamesema kwamba wangependa kuwa bunge liwe na fursa ya kuweza kubadilisha dora. Mheshimiwa Spika, hiyo hatukatai kwamba bunge lina fursa ya kubadilisha sheria katika zile sheria ambazo zinapitishwa na bunge hili pamoja na bunge la kitaifa. Lakini Mheshimiwa Spika, iwapo kaunti zetu zitafanya mipango yao ya mwaka, bajeti zishasomwa na vile vile pia zishaweza kupitishwa katika kaunti zile, Mheshimiwa Spika, itakuwa si vizuri katikati ya mwaka, Mheshimiwa Spika, unakuja mswada wa kubadilisha ama kupunguza fedha zinazokwenda katika kaunti zetu. Iwapo kuna marekebisho yote, Mheshimiwa Spika, marekebisho yafanywe kabla ya dora kupitishwa katika bunge hili pamoja na sheria ya kara. Kwa hiyo Mheshimiwa Spika, napinga mswada huu. Asante.
Thank you, Senator Mohamed Faki. Senator Wahome Wamatinga.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to also weigh in and contribute to these recommendations by the Finance Committee. Indeed, Mr. Speaker, sir, we as the Senate, we have the law, responsibility, and the obligation to the voters to ensure that we do not only protect devolution, but also to ensure that we promote devolution. The only way, Mr. Speaker, that we are able to do that is ensuring that the counties get their allocation and get that timely, and also, Mr. Speaker, that all the functions that are devolved are not only unbundled, but the functions are followed by the budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, indeed the recommendation by the Finance Committee that we reject the reduction of the money that's being allocated to the county is not only welcome, but it is also equally a very important step, because we as the senators, while we are trying to ensure that devolution succeeds, we must also ensure that money is allocated to the counties, disbursed to the counties in the same manner it is in the national government. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, as has been said by my colleagues, it is indeed very sad that most counties are still suffering from burdens of huge burdens of pending bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, this has come as a result of many counties overstating, overestimating their own source revenue, because the governors want to look like they're performing well, whereas they know well that they're not going to hit the target. Mr. Speaker, sir, as we fight and engage the national government to increase the allocation to the county government, we must equally ensure that we also push the governors so that the transparency, accountability, and the governance issues that goes with it are also taken into consideration. Mr. Speaker, sir, we know that many county governments are having a huge problem with pending bills, not because the contractors or the suppliers did not supply, because they are all upside-down priorities that successful governors, when they come into office, they fail to honor. Mr. Speaker, sir, we as senators, as we keep on fighting for this allocation, we must also set in motion a mechanism that will ensure that all those counties that have pending bills are made in line with the law to ensure that the first charge of their allocation goes to the pending bills. Mr. Speaker, sir, indeed, looking at the number of Kenyans who have worked for the counties, be it as contractors or suppliers, those who supplied goods, they suffer the same way as the county employees who don't get paid timely. Mr. Speaker, sir, another area that we must address and look at is health delivery. The health services, Mr. Speaker, sir, has for a very long time suffered because many governors and many county governments have not prioritized provision of health services. It is not a priority to many of them. Mr. Speaker, sir, it may surprise you to see a county governor allocating empowerment programs to different groups, but also ensuring that those groups cannot get any medication from the hospitals in the county because it does not give enough resources. Mr. Speaker, sir, we therefore must put a mechanism in place to ensure that as the counties get allocation, as the budgets are fixed, then they are not changed mid-term, because we know that there is a common practice where they'll get allocation and only end up paying those who will look after them, Mr. Speaker. Unless we address the issues of transparency, unless we address the issues of accountability, unless we address the issues of poor governance, even getting the huge allocation, Mr. Speaker, then we'll still be left with very little to see. Mr. Speaker, sir, you do remember when we went to the Senate Mashinani in Turkana. There was indeed a chance and opportunity to visit various projects that have been undertaken by the county government. Mr. Speaker, sir, we were left wondering, 120 billion down the line, how comes people of that specific county cannot get enough water? Mr. Speaker, there are counties, yes, that have done very well, extremely well, with the allocation and with the money that they've gotten. There are some, Mr. Speaker, 10 years down the line, they have nothing to show. I do remember, Mr. Speaker, sir, that yes, the allocation of 401 billion was a historic, past 400 billion mark, Mr. Speaker. But as we pass this historic mark, Mr. Speaker, we must also come strongly and put mechanisms in place that ensures that that money does not go to wastage. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the role of this House, it is the responsibility of this House, Mr. Speaker, as much as we are denied the adequate resources to ensure that we do effective oversight, we must, Mr. Speaker, condemn the things that these governors are doing. Mr. Speaker, sir, today in the morning, I read an article about counties that have blown millions, hundreds of millions of shillings with foreign travel. Mr. Speaker, sir, if you are left wondering, what is the similarity between our counties and the country of Singapore that every county government insists on taking MCAs to that country so that they can benchmark? Mr. Speaker, sir, it is time we are called to be rational spenders. As much as we know that we release this money through revenue collected from the taxpayers, we must give our people, we must stand for our people so that they can get value for money. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is the high time that this House starts to name and shame those counties that are blowing billions of shillings in foreign travel, those who are blowing millions of shillings, Mr. Speaker, through tea and mandasis, as has been said by my colleague. It is time we shame them, Mr. Speaker, and name them, because it is time that now, as we push through with austerity measures, it must go down to the county governments. Mr. Speaker, sir, you were left wondering, why would someone want to take a whole county assembly to a country, to Tanzania, to Arusha, to do training, while they can get that training here locally? Mr. Speaker, sir, as I sit down, I want to urge my colleagues, let us now, as we push the Senate Mashinani, let us open our eyes, let us move with speed, so that as we push for this money to be retained at 401, let us also ensure that we leave a mark as that Senate House, as that fourth Senate, that ensure that the utilization of county resources, of public resources, is not only prudent, but it is done in a way that it will be effective, and especially in the health sector, in the other sectors like agriculture that are involved, so that we can leave a mark and a huge footprint in this country. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to commend the Finance Committee for a job well done. I want to tell them, yes, it is time that we stand and say this
country must stand for what is right. But as we do that, Mr. Speaker, sir, it must go alongside of the senators' intervention that they must step they must put their best foot forward and say, we protect devolution as much as we protect the implementation and utilization of the resources that are allocated to the county government. Mr. Speaker, sir, I recommend I recommend and I support the amendments as proposed by the Finance Committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Gloria Aroba.
Thank you, Speaker. I rise to add my voice on the Division of Revenue Amendment Bill from the National Assembly. Speaker, I have read and seen the numbers, Mr. Speaker, and I am of the opinion that we are living in different times, Mr. Speaker. We are living in times where we should have transparency and proper oversight. We are also living in times where we are supposed to live within our means, Mr. Speaker. And I know that this is the first time that we have gone down in terms of allocation, Mr. Speaker, and maybe that is the pushback that you're seeing from the Senate, which is supposed to protect devolution and fight for counties to get enough resources. Mr. Speaker, however, I feel that we must start accounting for all the monies that we sent down to the counties, Mr. Speaker. We are in several committees where we engage with the county assemblies, where we engage with the county governors, and we can see a lot of wastage and we can see a lot of resources that are being used for things that do not matter or for projects that are not really impactful, Mr. Speaker. And I want to agree with the National Assembly that indeed it is time that we live within our means, and if that means that we have a budget cut all the way to the county assemblies. I believe that earlier this afternoon we even had Senator Sifuna talking about that if all institutions have to cut the budget so that we can live within our means, and that does not mean that the county governments should not be subjected to this, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I understand that my role at the Senate is to support devolution and to ensure that county governments have enough resources, but I also understand that that comes with a responsibility, Mr. Speaker. We are always talking about the own source revenue that we should be pushing our county governments to be able to, come up with. And Mr. Speaker, there are so many county governments that up to date are 95% dependent on this allocation, Mr. Speaker. Yet they have a lot of economic activities in the ground which they cannot show in terms of on-source revenue. Mr. Speaker, we also want to get to a point where we are encouraging the CEOs of these counties, that is the governors, to go out and seek private public partnerships, to go out and fundraise for the different projects and activities that they have on the counties, such that we can become self-reliant from the national government to the county governments, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to concur with the National Assembly for the figures that they have put, Mr. Speaker, because this is not just any other time when we are talking about the division of revenue. This is 2024. We have seen what has been happening. We have seen the call for austerity measures to be placed everywhere, Mr. Speaker. And I do believe that the county governments should not be, left aside in terms of ensuring that we live within our means, Mr. Speaker. Therefore, I want to support that indeed all of us must take a cut, all institutions in government, whether the devolved governments, as the county governments or the national government. And so therefore, I think that I do not want to support the committee's report where we are saying that we have to push for more resources. I stand to support the National Assembly in terms of the recommendations that they have put to cut on the resources until we are able to get the proper oversight, the proper allocations of what this money is doing, and also to encourage that these county governments are able to push their own source revenue and go out and also fundraise for their projects, Mr. Speaker. I therefore do not support the committee report. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members may rise. It is now 6:30 p.m. time to adjourn the Senate. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Wednesday, 25th of September, 2024 at 9:30 a.m.